All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. We start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic and one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can you get roll call, please?
Yes, sir. We should reflect that the entire board is here this morning. In addition, we have members of the staff. Your engineer is not here today. He's on vacation. He called us yesterday to advise us of that. In addition, Mr. Chairman, working with Frank, we have a little pilot project we're undertaking today. I understand that you may have had an opportunity to speak to him about that. We're trying to improve on the quality of our meeting technology and to have it work in conjunction with the minute process. And so with that, I've spoken to Mr. Lee at length about this, but I'd asked him if perhaps he could give us just a brief tutorial in order to improve on sound quality. We ask people who desire to speak today once recognized to come forward to be able to be heard. So, Mr. Lee, good morning.
Good morning.
I should add that he is doing this at his own personal expense this morning. Going forward, we just wanted to sort of consider this a pilot project. I think if it works well and the board's agreeable, then we'll explore what some of the costs might be going forward. But this morning, there are no costs associated with this.
Mr. Lee.
This is a beta project, and you literally, this is the latest technology that you can get. Highest end. The teaser back there is our tech line, very, very good. But this is a beta, so there may be a glitch today. This is the first time it's going to be. If you speak, please do not speak from the audience because it's going to break the audio. This will not start the car. People in the back are not here. Now, if someone calls in from outside, you will hear them through the station of the podcast speakers. But this is set up for a board. So if you have someone here, please come to a little closer. When you speak, just stand right here and you'll get picked up. Board members, the idea here is not, this is not a TV program at home. Just conduct your meeting as you normally would. This is really for the people in Wisconsin, California, New Jersey that want to. They will have clear video, clear audio, and be a much more enjoyable experience for them. They will also be able to call in, write in a sign for your hand, and then we can advise you how people are on hold. So again, it's a new project. Thank you very much for letting us come to try this out here. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Now the roll call.
Yes, sir. We did. All members of the board are present. Okay. In addition to the staff, the only absentee this morning is Mr. Schmidt, who is out of town on vacation. He offered to send a representative, and I didn't think that was necessary. That takes us down to under public comments this morning. At the last meeting, the board had asked to see if we could take advantage of an opportunity to be introduced to the Collier County Mosquito Control District for two purposes. One, I understand the history here has been the desire on the part of the district in the past to be annexed in to the district for purposes of more comprehensive mosquito control. We were also made aware of the fact that there is an existing interlocal agreement with the Ave Maria Stewardship District, which is identical to humans in their legal basis, to perhaps explore as part of the new fiscal year interlocal agreement to have begin providing services at some appropriate level in advance of the potential annexation that will be reconsidered this year in the spring by the Florida legislature. With that, here is here on behalf of Mr. Lynn, who's the executive director. I've had a number of conversations with him, all positive. Suffice to say they are interested in your community. And he has a brief presentation. I've also passed out a copy to the board members. We received this yesterday evening. This is the basic terms and business points of their arrangement with Ave Maria. It's sort of a, I'll call it a cost kind of materials type, very simple agreement. And I'll ask her to also elaborate on that. She has a prepared PowerPoint presentation, and so we're going to try to incorporate that into the broadcast capabilities for people who may be participating.
At the last meeting, we asked that you talk to them about possibly getting an aerial spraying the following week.
He was not able to do that, but they're very interested in some type of assumption of services to the community as soon as you see fit. He provided this copy of the agreement. They want to have some sort of formal agreement in place in order to do that. Here might be able to talk about that further.
Well,
Thank you. So I do have a presentation prepared that we usually give. I can give you that presentation. It tells a little bit about our district, the services we provide. It has a little update on our expansion efforts. If you are interested in that, I can, or if you guys just have specific questions on on our expansion and the interlocal agreement, I can just answer your questions.
It's been a desire of theirs for some time. I understand, and so for just the members who may be watching at home or who are here this morning, if you would just paint maybe a little executive summary about who the district is. I mean, we don't want to spend a lot of time on necessarily background. I think it'd be appropriate, and then we'll spend the balance of the time answering board members' questions, having received your interaction.
Okay, so how about I go ahead and just share my presentation, and I'll go through a little bit of life, but I don't want to spend all of your time on the presentation. This is very similar to a presentation we gave probably about 3 years ago. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here.
it's working.
So I'm Dr. Carol, the Deputy Executive Director at College School District. Mr. Lynn and I usually do these presentations together, especially when we're doing expansion. Unfortunately, he can't be here today, but I'm going to give you a little background on our district here. So sorry, I was wondering what the mark up here was. So these are our current boundaries of the Colorado State School District. We are an independent taxing district. We have a chart that is defined in the state legislature on what our boundaries are. We are currently 401 square miles. So we service Marco Island, Naples, Golden Gate Estate, and Immokalee. And where we treat is going to depend on the season. So in the early spring, in the late spring into early summer, we are treating the coastal area. This is a very different year because those high tides and that hurricane caused some more of those mosquitoes that you guys have been experiencing. And then usually in the late summer and about early fall, we are treating the freshwater areas that are more inland. It hasn't really been. So we haven't been doing that either. So it's been a very strange year this year. We also have an interlocal agreement with Ave Maria, which you guys all have a copy of, and we can discuss potential interlocal agreement as well. Again, we perform mosquito control because of the diseases that they transmit. Our mission and vision really relies on protecting public health and comfort. Mosquitoes have a adult stage as well as an aquatic stage, and so we target them at both stages. So So the female will lay her eggs in damp soil or standing water, and then we will have about 5 to 7 days in as an aquatic stage, and they become biting, flying adults. So one of the things that we always tell our residents to make sure they're dumping any standing water around. Because those are the mosquitoes that actually spread disease, the ones that breed in those containers. We have over 50 species of mosquitoes in Collier County. And that is really because of our different ecosystem. We have these areas and we have these urban areas. For you guys here in Port of the Island, Aedes tenurensis, that's our salt marsh mosquito. That is what you see. And that's actually a mosquito, not really known to transmit disease, but they come out in high numbers, as you all know, that it's unbearable. And we really focus a lot on targeting Aedes tenurensis. It's one of our main targets. We do have all of the mosquitoes though that can spread diseases. We have seen dengue here in Collier County. From the Florida Keys all the way up to Broward County, dengue has been spreading like wildfire for the past four years or so. And we're starting to wonder if it's actually endemic to the state of Florida. We do have West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis, Eastern equine encephalitis, and then as you guys have probably heard about the malaria outbreak that occurred in Florida. That was the first time in 20 years we've seen malaria. This is a slide I always like to show, and this is kind of something that probably happened very close to here. Those Aedes tenurensis mosquitoes, they have been known to come out in such high numbers. I'm sure you guys all know, you probably felt just like these cows, that they have suffocated cows and then suck them dry all their life. That's called bad. And there are there's documentation about that. And I'm just gonna skip a few slides because I don't want to spend all my time focusing in our presentation. But mosquito-borne disease in Florida. This is the current map of what mosquito-borne disease looks like in Florida. And you can see several counties are under mosquito-borne disease illness alerts or advisories. And that means that there is active transmission of disease occurring. And the mosquito control district or programs in the county on heavily. Like I said, we saw malaria, first time in 20 years that we saw malaria in the state of Florida. That happened in Sarasota County and along the border of Manatee County. If you guys want to know more about that, I'm happy to answer any questions. That mosquito-borne disease, mosquito-borne illness alert was lifted due to aggressive mosquito control efforts. And it's really considered a victory for mosquito control. Unfortunately, now Sarasota County has West Nile virus, so they are now under another mosquito-borne illness alert. And then again, as I said, dengue virus continues to spread in South Florida. There was local transmission in Collier County last year, just one case. We were able to respond immediately and prevent any continuation of that disease to spread. But Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach, as well as Florida Keys, do struggle quite a bit with dengue virus. As I said, we're a special taxing district. Our mission and vision is to suppress both disease carrying and mosquitoes. Our primary goal really is public health, and we perform an integrated mosquito management approach. And I do want to give you guys an idea of what you might see for mosquito control, what kind of services you're going to receive from us. If we are able to expand into this area, or if we come to an interlocal agreement, whichever one is what we're going to do. We do have a board of 5 elected commissioners, so if you guys are brought into the district, you will see the mosquito control board election on your ballot. For interlocal agreement, you would not see that. So becoming part of the district has a benefit there because you're selecting your board. And that board is what helps us set our budgets, define our goals, and ensure, transparency and accountability in what we do. So, what is integrated mosquito management? These are the kind of things you will see us doing when for the island and draw it into the district or an interlocal agreement is made. We use a variety of tools to combat mosquitoes. It's not just spraying for adult mosquitoes. It is much more than that. And I will go through these individually, but I will be quite quick. So what you would see is surveillance. First and foremost, everything we do is based on surveillance. We would have field technicians the area, and they would do what's called landing rate count. This is where a field technician goes out to the field, stands there for 2 minutes, and counts the number of mosquitoes that land on it. Honestly, what around here in the peak of spring or early summer, they will be walked out of their car, stand there for 10 seconds, and then get back in there. But yeah, it's pretty bad. And we usually have them account for that, and we can do some, you know, we can map that out and what actually would have been in those 2 minutes. But you also see them put out traps. And so we do set these traps, and we bring them back to the district, and we have entomologists and biologists those traps. They're very well trained. They're able to identify all 50 different species of mosquito. They're going to be able to tell, is the problem called mosquitoes, and do we have disease vectors in the area? And if we have disease vectors in the area, they're also going to be able to test for mosquito-borne disease. They will be testing mosquito pools for things like dengue virus, necessary, but especially our endemic viruses like West Nile virus, encephalitis, and Eastern equine encephalitis. Our research department, before I get into control, our research department also does an integrated mosquito management, or I'm sorry, a pesticide resistance management program. So we'll also be testing mosquitoes from the area to ensure that the products that we use work against mosquitoes. We'll be able to identify if there's resistance to many of the products that you guys have used in the past, or any of the products that we currently use. And we'll be able to select the correct material to ensure effectiveness. We also have biological control. I'm not sure how much that would be used here, but if you guys do have things like the water fountains, rain barrels, anything that you can put in water that you don't necessarily want to know. We have the fish available to our residents to use in those areas. We also use granular larvicide, and that larvicide is typically an organic product, and it is derived from the soil bacteria. It's very specific to mosquitoes, and we use that quite extensively out of our helicopters. So for larval control, you would see this is our aerial fleet. We have a MD500 and a Bell 407. But we also have each one of our field technicians has a spray rig on their trucks, and then we have multiple larger trucks that have spray rigs as well that all apply larvicide. So that bacterial-based organic products. So that's something you might see here. We also have other application tools such as drones. So drones are really great. They can get a very small area and they can really target what we're trying to reach instead of having to do more of a broadcast application. Mapping is, we do a lot of mapping with our drones as well. And actually, when we first start coming towards the island, we would need to do extensive surveillance and mapping. We need to know where the mosquitoes are, where the habitat is, where are the problem areas, and we would get that imagery and start creating a baseline of information. These are the spray trucks that I talked about. So we have our, see if this is a video. These are the spray rigs that are on our field technicians' trucks, and then we also have our buffalo turbine, usually to target Aedes aegypti. Probably wouldn't see that buffalo turbine too much in the area, but you might. These are examples of our field technicians. They do go out, and a service you would have is what's called a domestic inspection. So let's say that you have a mosquito problem and you want to make a complaint to the district. You can go to our district website. You can put in a request. You can report mosquitoes and say, hey, there's mosquitoes here. Or you can, even better, you would request to have a field technician come and visit. And that field technician will come to the area, they will come to your home, and they will look for sources of the mosquito. So maybe it's in an old winter where it's not really 80s tenuric season, but you're still having mosquito problems. So perhaps there's something else that's related, like a ditch nearby or a water fountain or something like that. And so our field technicians will come and they will help you reduce that source of mosquitoes. If they find a more widespread problem, then that goes right into our surveillance to make treatment decisions. This is just an example. This is actually Aedes tenuricus. That's larvae collected in a ditch in East Naples. It's actually, they're salt marsh mosquitoes, so the ditch is very close to Naples Bay. And you can imagine how bad the mosquitoes must have been in that area. I would not be surprised if this kind of thing would be found around here as well. Salt marsh mosquitoes tend to breed quite heavily. So those are all mosquitoes. A single ditch, just a little bit of water, and you have thousands of them in there. So adult site applications. We do hear a lot of concerns about adult siting. And a lot of people think about adult siting. They think of this. And this was probably a mosquito control district. This was back in the 80s. This is thermal fogging. Now they're applying gallons, let me just reiterate, gallons of adulticide, so pesticide per acre. And that pesticide is mixed with diesel fuel. That's how they get that fog. It might have worked really well, but it's not the most sustainable and not the most environmentally friendly way for mosquito control. So things have changed quite a bit. We have gone from treating with gallons of product to very little amount of product. And today we apply less than half an ounce per acre of product. It is not mosquito fuel. We apply it as what we call neat. So it's just the product, and it's a half an ounce. So just to give you an idea, some of our products are less than an ounce, but the product that we would use here would be less than half an ounce. But to give you an idea, that's less than an ounce over the local. So very little product. It's a very fine droplets. We use ultra low volume. You wouldn't see these in Port the Isles probably at all, but these are what cover large areas. You would more likely see our helicopters. We have a Bell 407 and an NP500 that perform adult sighting. And then we have two of the Skyvans, so the little things top there, and then a twin otter to perform aerial sighting in very large areas. We get a lot of concerns about how, like I said, how we adult sight. We used to be a district that did do a lot of adult sighting. That's all we did. We did nothing else. We just waited for the mosquitoes to show up, and we adult sight. Now practice an integrated mosquito management approach. We put that in place around 2015, 2016, and I really like to show how we have changed as a district in the past few years. So we have reduced our use of organic phosphate quite heavily and brought in different types of materials when it comes to adult sites. We use pyrethroid as well, and we also now use a new product. It's abamectin, natural lactose-based product, very new to mosquito control. It's similar to ivermectin, but it has it's very effective against mosquitoes. So we've increased the use of pyrethroids and abamectin. We also created a larvicide program. Before we just larvicided, we use CS larvicide on our little program. But now we are hitting every area where you find larvae. We are trying to be very proactive in our applications. Like I said, we do have disease. We have mosquito vector disease, and it makes mosquito control very important right here. We have our mosquito fill. We have distributed 3,000 fills last year. Many of our products are organic. Almost all of our large products are organic, and at least one of them is. And so we take a lot of pride in ensuring that our residents that we use. We started incorporating drones, and we also have automated counters that can help us know where mosquito problems are without having to really send someone out there. It kind of is a early trigger for us to respond. Okay, so now what you guys are all shooting for, expansion. So you saw our district boundaries in the previous slide, and in this one here, it has our district boundaries outlined in blue. And our new district boundaries are outside of those blue lines. So we recognize as a district that we need to start planning along with county for our growing population. And we see that there's more and more people moving to the eastern areas of the county, and we need to respond as well. We need mosquito control. You guys need mosquito control, and we're starting to see more of a threat when it comes to mosquito-borne disease. That we're starting to see more and more dangerous. We're starting to see malaria. We're starting to see more West Nile virus, St. Louis encephalitis. So we need to be able to not only provide mosquito control services to these areas, but we need to ensure that the public health is also being affected. We also know that as people move further east, more living quarter the hour, we are closer to where mosquitoes are coming from. And so we need to ensure that we are providing mosquito control services to those residents. So I went through everything that we do here. These are the benefits that you would be receiving if you are incorporated into your district, or we have an interlocal agreement. So you would be provided mosquito control services by Collier Mosquito Control District. Again, you would see those daily surveillance activities. You would be performing mosquito-borne disease testing. Pesticide management, so we would ensure the products that we use are effective against your mosquitoes. You would have the ability to have for your domestic inspection. You have the ability to call us and say, hey, we need you out here. Right now, you can't do that. Source, we would be identifying the source of your problem and trying to reduce that source if we can. You would have access to mosquito fish. One thing I have not mentioned yet is that we would be likely in this area performing what's called a preventative barrier treatment. That would be putting a barrier around for the owls the best we can to try to repel any mosquitoes flying into the area. We are doing quite a bit of research on heat waving to provide those as well, and it's looking very positive. They have very similar issues when it comes to saltmarsh mosquitoes and mosquitoes. We would be performing ground and aerial-based larvicide and ground and aerial-based bug-fighting. And then because of your unique situation, you are completely surrounded by public lands. We will do the best that we can to create our pod management plans with those public land managers. It may just be that we do more surveillance, we're able to get in there and see where the mosquitoes are coming from. And if we do find that, we may be able to make an agreement to do a little bit of larvicide. Adult sighting is typically off limits on public lands, but we're doing our best to try to do some agreement with land managers to do our best for the area. Okay. Expansion. I know the screen is small. I want to give you a brief little update background on that. So in 2021 is when we started sprinting. And we received a resolution from the Board of County, from our Board of Commissioners, to move on with expansion. In November 2021, that resolution was approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So we have our board and Board of County that did need to happen. We had a referendum. You guys should have seen that on your ballot. You still have the opportunity to vote. We received 71% approval to continue on with expansion. So the 71% of residents in these expansion areas want to move. Not only do we have our board and the county commissioners, we also have the residents that want to see mosquito control. Then our legislative delegation in December of 2022 approved it. So we had our 3 representatives in the state house and the Senate president saying we need to move forward with this. In 2023 legislative session, Representative Lauren Mello sponsored the bill. Unfortunately, that bill was not heard in committee. So that bill went to the House Local Administration, Federal Affairs, and Special District Subcommittee. And they didn't want to hear it. They just that. And so we went back this year, September 2023, and our legislative delegation again approved the bill to move forward. And we are planning, or we are in the process currently of filing the bill. It should be filed in the next few days. This bill will be brought back to the 2024 legislative session. It will be again sponsored by Lauren Mello. That bill must be approved by the state legislature and signed by the governor. So that's where we're stuck. We're stuck at the state, ensuring that this bill moves forward. If approved, CNC charter will be revised and will include the new boundaries. And those new boundaries will take effect October of 2020. If you want to help at all, these are people you should contact. There is nothing we can do. Continuing to push this bill, we have at least 2 to 3 lobbyists working to push this bill through the state, and we can use the help of our those who want to receive the services. So that is who you can contact to ensure that this bill is implemented. And then what you can do, of course, you can use repellent, deep oil lemon, eucalyptus, pardon, IR 35. If you want something that's substantial, oil lemon eucalyptus is the way to go. Drain and cover. You can't drain and cover the swamp though, but you can do your best, especially in the winter months. Even something as small as a bottle cap can produce mosquitoes. And with that, I'm happy to address any questions you have regarding expansion and any questions you have regarding a potential interlocal agreement. Me and Patrick talked quite heavily about an interlocal agreement. What we would like to see is, we would like to see where we're going into. To start with, mosquito population should decrease. We would like to see what happens with this bill. We should know by March what happens with our bill. And then if the bill isn't going to go into effect in October, then we should definitely entertain an interlocal agreement.
I've got a couple quick questions. Holly and Maria, any idea? I know they're way bigger than we are. Any idea what their monthly average bill would be?
I don't know what their monthly average bill will be, but I do know that some years they have spent $5,000 to $6,000 in mosquito control. Okay. The other thing is these mosquito fish. We have a lot of ponds throughout here. Is that something that we could get our hands on and put out? I mean, are they sustainable in these small ponds? Well, I don't know how small they are, but if the ponds already have fish in them, then those fish will either repel or eat mosquitoes as well. But if they don't, then the mosquito fish are a really great option. And I would say that you guys are welcome to get mosquito fish.
Thank you. We can get that from the county, huh?
From us.
Right.
Collier mosquito districts are not part of the county.
Where would we go to get those?
You can visit our website, and there is a whole workflow there for you to follow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do those mosquito fish breed in the pond?
Yeah, they are native to Southwest Florida, and all you really need is about 10 of them, and they will take off. They are very hardy, and they are really good at eating mosquitoes, so they do a really good job. I think you have a question.
Are there any changes we could make in our land security that will lessen the number of adults, especially between our buildings?
So I do know that, I'm not sure if sometimes the mosquitoes, in between homes, they'll breed in that little strip in between homes. You can add things like, BTI, they're calling their mosquito bid. You can buy them at Walmart and home stores. In terms of changing your landscaping, we don't really recommend any of that, but if you do have bromeliads, we recommend that you flush them out every week, or add those mosquito bits to the bromeliads, because, those disease vectors, Aedes aegypti, they breed in bromeliads. And bromeliads have been a cause for several disease outbreaks, especially in Miami.
And that's probably something the residents here have never taken into account when they plant those plants, that they're putting mosquito breeding areas in their yards. Because I have them in my yard, and I never really thought of that. The other thing is, up north, we used to occasionally throw laundry detergent or something on our water to break the tension. Is that an acceptable practice?
No, it's, the science behind it makes sense, right? 'Cause we even have products that we can apply that changes the water tension. But that is, doesn't just impact mosquitoes, it impacts other things. And then also that lot of detergent is going out to the environment.
Okay.
And so that's not something we would recommend.
Okay, good enough.
What's the difference between the interlocal agreement legislation? The expanded area, if we're in that expanded.
So what would be the difference?
Yeah.
So specifically, what's your millage rate? That would give them a sense as to what the average homeowner, you know what your millage rate is?
Yeah, this year, I think our millage rate, either this year or last year, I'm sorry, I don't have it on my head, 0.663, so about $16 for every $100,000 of assessed value. I think it may have decreased this year, but the difference is someone's gonna have to pay for it, right? So you're either gonna have to pay for it through paying the $16 for every $100,000 of assessed value, or the community development or the HOA is going to have to pay for it, and they're going to have to get their money. So I do know that they're a special taxing district.
Right now, we're in an interlocal agreement.
Yeah,
It
would be-
individual contract.
it would be a, yeah, it would be. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would, that whoever would be covering the bill would have to, I don't know how you guys, but I can say that the Automobile Stewardship District, they have it in their budget.
County that they're living actually collect the money on the tax roll.
The county,
So like the Collier County, you get a tax certificate, right, we have not had one of that. So Collier County could collect that.
They already do. If your tax bill is a separate line item,
Just like.
if not your tax bill, but anybody else, like my tax bill.
Even would just be another line on there.
Correct, my
Yes.
tax bill, it's on there.
Whatever it is.
For an ad valorem tax, as opposed to just a non ad valorem.
It's not within our local agreement, but that we can just take care of it.
And I think one of the aspects of it, it's just, I guess it's number crunching exercises. You have the millage rate there to apply. The individual property owners would pay. And the interlocal agreement would have a contract as far as what you're going to pay. And so that would be, I don't know what the wash, which one would be less expensive. And quite frankly.
You actually think they would let us do aerial sprays on the drones? Specifically, but what about
yeah, so, this is private land, where you guys live is private land, we conduct mosquito control on private land. So we would be able to, do a helicopter mission or a truck mission here, no problem. We would be able to do those barrier sprays. We would, if we needed to treat outside of those private lands, that's when we would have to, develop, fog management plans.
Any other questions?
How specific are the treatments to mosquitoes or other pollinators?
And then would you mind identifying?
This is Deborah Jansen, 205 HIV.
No, I got it. So in terms of adult dying, so they are insecticides. And they have the potential to impact other, pollinators. But what we do is we treat at a very low rate, but it's very specific to small insects like mosquitoes, half an hour. We treat at a particular height, and we're really wanting to get that material in about 200 to about 20 feet within the air quality, right? Once that product is released, it does nothing for us. And so we try to make sure that those droplets that are coming out of the spray system are so small that they're not stay suspended in that air column and target mosquitoes. We also apply typically in the very early morning or at night when the pollinators aren't out and buzzing around. There's been lots of experiments done where the application used for mosquito control doesn't have much of an impact on mosquitoes, especially if they're, put away for the night. But I'm not going to deny that there are insecticides and they do impact other insects, but the way we treat and the way it's labeled, and if we follow the labels, really minimal impact.
Excuse me, we're listening through the phone and everything is very muffled and we can't even understand what the presenter is saying. Is there any way to correct that? Because we really can't hear anything. Everything is an echo and muffled.
Yeah, we're working on getting some feedback. I'm getting feedback and I'm trying to eliminate that. Actually, I was asking Steve to pause for a moment. I'm going to try and reconnect the device.
Okay, thank you.
Our tape is still running. When I initially called Mr. Lynn's office, I got recruited to the director of operations. If we wanted to ask him hypothetical, like time in the council based on the number of square miles and acres here.
No, probably myself is the correct individual, yes. Sometimes. Most of the calls will go to our director of communications, but we were without a director of communications at the time, so they may have been shuttled over things, but Patrick for myself is the best person.
Thank you for that. And then the second question, I had asked Mr. Lynn, because of our proximity to Goodland and the Key Marco area, would our service be performed at the same time of spring there, or would we be charged for inch and hours to kind of make vehicles to fly down? Do you have any idea just logistically how you would go about treating this community?
I think I did a little bit of math there, and I saw that community would use about 2 gallons of and that's a very small number of products. So if there is a mosquito problem in Goodland and let's say Key Marco area, then it could be combined because then we're able to better, it's easier on our aircraft.
We're only about 6 miles east of the Goodland community. It just seems to me to make a lot of sense if we could tag on it.
Yeah, and we do that actually with Ave and Monte. Ave and Monte are often treated at the same time, and they're about the same size relative, but the treatment block, and when our admin staff is calculating the hours, they take that into account. Yeah.
We have just one item.
Let's see if there are any other questions. The chairman's discretion. Sure. Any other board questions? Yes, ma'am.
Carol Williams, 141 Wilderness Case. I had called your office and had a nice conversation. Esplanade right down the street and the golf course community also receives services from your district. So they're even closer than Goodland. So I wanted to inquire, are they in your services? Yes, they are. Someone in the office.
I believe that they are. I don't know if they would be fine with that area. We usually go all the way from Bay Shore all the way down to Lake Park area. Your treatment would probably be a because of the size of the area. But there are
Well, we appreciate this. and we'll be talking to you about getting started maybe sooner when the legislation going through.
Yeah, Patrick did mention that, we can change that and see if, let's say, if legislation does go through, then the time between that and legislation going through, if we need to, because you will be going into the spring, and if you need to make a short local agreement for that, or let's say they just say, no, we're not gonna see this again, then we're gonna have something that's pretty good.
He indicated that he's willing to contract with this board community, whether or not the legislation is successful. So,
Well, let's get some approximate costs. So we have at least a ballpark of what we could look at paying for it. And then talk about that at the next meeting, we think.
Yeah, in the meantime,
if you would thank him, I know that you guys made an effort to be here today on somewhat short notice, but we're very
Appreciate your time.
thank you.
Dave, how much time do you need?
No, I did the return already.
Done?
No, it didn't give me what I wanted.
Can we just keep moving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep moving.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I think that takes us back to item 2, the approval of the agenda. I don't have any add-on items today.
Yeah, one other thing, is you've got the folks from the marina here. We recently had a diesel spill, and I asked them to come and address the board, and I know Annalise wants to be part of that, and she's got to leave here at 11 o'clock. So if we could move,
Let's call that 2B, then.
Yeah.
If you want to entertain a motion to approve the agenda, to add item 2B, which will be we'll call it arena presentation.
sure.
Any other add-ons? Anything else you have to move on?
I just have 3 things on the swales, so. Yeah, moving,
Tell them what you want.
move my portion up on the swales.
That'd be fine. This is item 5C. If we can just hear that first into the staff report.
Sure. Is there anything else?
Motion to approve is amended. I'll make motion to approve.
Second,
All in favor?
Aaron.
All right. Can you,
So where do you want me?
well, probably right in front of the table here, if that's okay. I know we recently had a diesel spill at the marina. I talked to Scott Treppen and you as well, and I asked you to come here, basically just to give the community an idea of what maybe happened, what steps were taken, and if there's any thing that we should be looking to do in the future. But
Sure.
go ahead.
I'm taking a minute, so what's your name?
Okay.
My name is Mike, I'm the current .NET.
Last name, spell it.
Hoekstra,
Oh,
Hoekstra.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Can we go ahead?
Yes,
Please. So Steve had asked me to come over and just kind of talk to the community about what took place. Obviously, everybody knows that we had a diesel spill. I have no idea about how much. I was on a commission when the spill actually took place, and it was flowing through the river. I was notified at 11:13 p.m. Tuesday evening. Unfortunately, I was, like I said, I was on a commission. I didn't even have a phone at all. I was no idea. I was down with fires. So once I was alerted that morning that we had a spill, Reggie took action, used the boom material that we had. We had approximately 180 feet of boom material. Approximately 50 to 100 16 by 16 absorbent pads. We use those absorbent pads to get the diesel fuel primarily over on the south side.
What time was it?
I think that was around probably
1, 2,
Wednesday.
So the spill was discovered on Monday,
Now, the spill was discovered
and 1, 2.
on Wednesday.
Tuesday evening
And then,
at 11:13 p.m.
and the booms were deployed
that morning.
the next morning.
Yes, and the only reason why anything was done that evening is because a boater sent me a text.
But you didn't see it.
I didn't see
Yeah.
it, so. I called out.
Was the board that sent you the text, is that the spill that we had the spill?
I'm sorry, what?
The voter that sent you the text, is that the spill?
No, that was just somebody that was out walking a dog and said, hey, there's some diesel fuel in the water.
Where did they see that on TV?
ADOT on A7. So that's middle of ADOT on the south side, closest to the,
For the south.
yeah, the wall.
What's the date? Is that the 10th or the 17th?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's last week. Yeah.
Wednesday was the 11th.
I'm sorry, we interrupted you.
No, that's fine. So Reggie and Rich got the boom material out. They did boom the area between BDOT, where the flow is coming down around A, coming in front of B, and cutting across over to CDOT. The guys, not knowing where the spill come from or what boat it was actually coming from, there's a high concentration around CDOT and around C2. So out of precaution, they put the blue material around that boat. Thinking that maybe that was the boat that was caught. Reggie called me and let me know what was going on. That was probably around 11:30, 10 o'clock. Asked what else, what other procedures he should do. I told him to get on, start getting in the boats. And getting in and checking the building. Try to locate the exact point where this is coming. He got on several boats that he could, several boats are locked up, or they're not here, and tried to locate it with no success. By the time I was better, or if I could get out there, it was Saturday. So Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I went on every boat on ADOT and CDOT. Those boats aren't a problem. That's not what we're having an issue. Tuesday, I went on a couple other boats that I knew were having some problems, or potentially older boats that may have an issue with fuel tanks. One of the boats, he has a very elaborate system. They pump all fuel out and put it to island with nothing. Boat, I believe it is over on FDOT. And it's a boat that this happened 6 months ago. Pretty sure it's the same boat. Can't prove it. I have no way to prove it. I was in the field, look, he's got the filters cleaned out. Problem is, 3 weeks ago, some suckers came out and cleaned the filters really good. But I think he was doing some work on his diesel tanks because he says he has a leak in the tank. And he maybe got in there that evening, did something, his filters were not on, using fuel tank. I can't prove it. I wish I could because he's got one. So that's where we're at right now.
What slip number is that?
14, I think.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, when you didn't get your message until the following morning.
Right.
When was the count? Did you call the county in then, or?
I did talk to him that afternoon. The guard, Coast Guard spill team. They wanted to know what the estimate was. I said, I have no idea.
So
And
they were called. They were called in the afternoon.
Yes.
On Wednesday?
Wednesday. And then the county came out, and I don't think he was called. I think he just happened to be coming through.
Okay.
Michael Odom.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And he came through, saw what was going on, and assisted Reggie.
Mm-hmm.
Gave him some more pads. I think he material. He didn't have much to be. So I've talked to him several times about what happened, what's going on, what we can do to prevent this. Actually have a meeting with him. We also, something that I think that I need to implement is these older boats that I know that they don't have been running or haven't moved the boat, whatever, or the maintenance may not be that long. Weekly, what I'm gonna implement is that I go on and check every week. Just something not difficult. Make sure that they don't have a sneaky leak. Still sitting there, not paying attention for one reason or another. They'll just go off and the spill. So that's something about in these boats, especially the one. Something else I'm doing is I get photos of all the boats there. So I think probably what's happening, some of these older boats, we'll start looking for your model. No more 1980 poopy CLS. Trust me, I live in the marina on my boat. I don't want these people in the marina. There, so I don't want to see it. Only things can't go outside, can't see them back to the boat. Bring this forward, diesel fuels, and it doesn't take long. It can be 20 gallons, 10 gallons, 5 gallons. Take a little bit of diesel fuel and drop it, put it in a container. It is going to cost. So I don't want it. But one of the things I'm thinking is probably limit the year mile on your boat. 2,000 old, fall, or things like that. I got to improve.
All right, Mike, yeah, you and I talked. Since then, I've been able to spend some days tracking your skills through the NRC, the State Watch Office, DEP, Collier County's responders, private skill responders, and what I was able to find out is the first call. Remember that in the state of Florida, there's 3 state statutes that protect non-reporting and under-reporting. I did get a chance to talk to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard said they were reported that 3 gallons per spill. The cleanup process was in place with pads and a small boom.
3 gallons.
So that was reported from here. Whoever talked to the Coast Guard, that's what they have in the record. The National Response Center is a place that most calls go to the State Watch Office. The first notification they had of the spill was 8:58 in the morning on Thursday. Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah,
that's a huge problem.
Yep.
You or your representative or anyone else that's over, that spill has to be reported. When you got your call on Tuesday night, that spill should have been reported. You got your call at 11:13. That spill should have been reported by 11:15. Right?
Yep.
You just don't mess around with this kind of stuff in the state of Florida. Any quantity.
Unfortunately, like I said, I was sick. I was out completely. So at 8:13, I didn't get the call.
But
I got a text message that I was completely out. I was shooting my guts out.
I understand that.
So I couldn't get out of bed. I was in the emergency room the next day. So don't tell me I have to report it at that time and I don't even know what happened.
All right, guys, let's not ratchet this up.
I would have been out of bed and out there cleaning it up.
Mike, I'm not asking you to get out of this quick bed. What I'm asking is that you have a representative, you have assistant managers, you have people that have.
And Reggie took care of that in the morning.
Okay. All right, I will.
If
We have a procedure where your assistant is trained as well as you are. He knows.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
That's what we need.
and I guess what they're,
I'm sorry.
Is that in place or he's not aware of that he has to make a phone call?
Reggie is aware of that. The 1-800 is in our office, and it's on the wall.
So he just didn't do it.
No.
Okay, so I just
Reggie didn't know about it either.
No, he didn't know until the morning.
All right.
No,
Okay, all right. We assumed Reggie was the one who called you. You're just saying it was a private citizen. So it never, and when you didn't get the phone call, you couldn't work with it.
I don't even know whose number it is.
Gotcha.
I don't have it in my phone.
Yeah. That makes a difference. That makes a difference.
So just to give everyone an idea of what kind of spill this was, the spill was Tuesday. We looked at it on Wednesday, had those pictures. I have some very good pictures of what the spill was like. I didn't know about the spill till 5 o'clock Thursday when all the diesel fuel and the spill came in the bay at Stone Mountain. I went outside at 5 o'clock because I just got home and I smelled like diesel, walked out to the seawall, and I see Frank coming from the other end of the seawall. He gets, he says, "What is going on?" I said, "I don't know." We had diesel 30 yards out from the seawall, sheen out on the water, by the wall, bubbles and more concentrated diesel. Right, the whole area smelled the diesel. The problem with this spill is that it was reported by somebody at 3 gallons. It was getting cleaned up. The Coast Guard didn't come here because it was reported as a 3-gallon spill. The county, Mark Orem, were the boots on the ground. He realizing that he had a responsibility to upgrade the recovery of the fuel, the whole spill procedure, right? And that didn't happen. So we don't know how many gallons we have, but it was enough that the spill went to the whole bay, 1,500 feet of seawall, around the corner and all the way to the bridge on Thursday afternoon. The spill took place on Tuesday. Right, so we had a pretty good spill. We have pictures of pads, sand, and red diesel, dyed diesel. You don't soak up pads full of red diesel unless there's more than 3 gallons. Right, so we knew that the spill was much larger than that. And the only reason that this is a concern is because the way it happened, it didn't get cleaned up properly.
Actually, it was. According to the county, it was cleaned up perfectly. So you can say the way you want, what you want, but Michael Odom said it was perfect. He said we did a fantastic job on cleaning it up. He said Reggie did exactly what he was supposed to do. So you're more likely to come out of the office at 11 o'clock because Michael will be over.
I'm not going to argue with you now. Just how this handles how that cleaned up. There are also regulations about how much cleanup material and things you have to have on site. And we're working that through the DEP. Because they regulate that, that's to the laws of.
And that's something else also. How much we can they get us any more like us? I think it's $300.
So my point with it was that this could have been cleaned up a lot better. This is the third spill in 6 months. There was a small one in between, just a little one that people off Newport talked about that was probably 2 months ago. So it's very small one, taking care of whatever, but 2 decent spills in 6 months. So we will be looking more at this. We have grandchildren that come here, they think it's the coolest thing to catch carpet and snooks and grouper and sharks and stuff off the seawall. We all like to see the dolphins come through. If we don't take better care of this little port we have here, we're not going to have the things that we have today. And that's why these things, if they happen, they have to be cleaned up. Right? And there's a lot of ways. There's a consortium that you might want to look into. I talked to you about that. Up north of here, they got together some of the marinas. And they bought a bunch of spill equipment. They have booms on trailers. And they have equipment that is ready to go. They help each other. They send their trailer with our boom immediately if there's a spill. Maybe we can become part of that. Maybe
I'd rather we work together and help each other instead of fight about it.
We are going to. You're going to.
So there's things out there that got to be done, but we can't have this thing, and we'll look into the future finding things.
We need to use this as a learning experience. And one of the things that I looked into was an oil boom, because that's technically the quickest thing that you can do. And I went out and I measured from the corner of the south end there by ADOC, the very east end where that concrete goes out, And then if you measure, and if you took an oil boom and you put that from that point there over to where it is, where the concrete comes out in front of the hotel there, that area, it's about 825 feet. I would love to see this, and I don't know how we come about doing it, is to have 825 feet of boom. Whenever a person has a spill, the very first thing that happens before anything else happens is that boom gets deployed across that 825 feet. Therefore, if anything that goes on is stuck in that marina, so that it can't get out of there. And if it's a little tiny spill, maybe it's only out for a short period of time. But you know, where it migrated across over to Stella Maris areas. I mean, that's when things really started to go haywire. I understand you were sick. It was very unfortunate the timing was that way. If there was a way that we could put in there where people would recognize, instead of just calling you and leaving a message, you know, there's something else. Maybe there's, you know, maybe they can do an email alert, or who the hell knows what it is. But there's a better way. I mean, I know there's a better way. And I looked into it, but it cost about 15 grand to put that boom across there. I don't know if a person could go through the state or whomever. Maybe we could get money from the state. What do you call it? Bond, grant, something like that, you know. But get set up for it, because it's going to happen again. I mean, that's the real world.
It is, unfortunately.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing, we need to figure out how to, because basically when you read about this, it's the quicker that you get into it, you know, the better that your containment is.
Part of it, I mean, some of these old.
Yeah. Sorry.
If I was over there and smelled something, how do I know you're gonna hold a meeting or anything? What's the notification?
You can call the marina, they'll search this cell phone that I have.
Anyone,
Anyone can call it.
When you're sick or you're on vacation, doesn't it automatically transfer to your system?
It'll ask a piece of cell phone. Or it'll transfer through. It'll transfer through to the office of Joyce's and where she gets.
But if there's nobody there,
Then we would have to go through regular or something else.
That's the
yeah,
step.
I think I could be a person.
Communication.
Think maybe.
I mean, we can put a list of numbers together. That'll be, you know.
There's ways that we can make this work.
In case y'all are out there, and see something or smell something or need some assistance.
You see something, say
Just
something.
post it on the back, post it out front. Something. If we get a recording.
And then number 3 members.
The other option we do have is at the National Recording Center. It has an 800 number. It's on the door. Yeah.
But people don't know that.
Anyone can call the 800 number, and all it does is start a process. It goes down through the state watch office, down to the DEP, they call up Collier County or the postcards and say we have a possible spill, see what you can find out. So you trigger the system, and we start going down and find out what's going on.
And is there any way to find out who called that owner? Who reported that it was just 3 gallons? Do they have
That
that
was the
record?
first one. The actual call that went into the National Response Center was reported by Collier County's private contractor with their tank suite. And that went in at 8:58 Wednesday or Thursday morning.
Was that Michael?
Mike Odom contacted. Mike Odom is Collier County Pollution Control. He contacts the Collier County tank unit.
Right.
The tank unit called the Coast Guard and called this contractor. To the contractor then called and first reported the spill.
I can tell you.
Yeah. So
I was obviously.
that's what shut this spill down. That's one of the reasons the system got stopped, is because the Coast Guard got the report. They have 2 people going on and understand they're understaffed. They have 2 people that run a huge area here in Florida, and they don't come out. If you tell them there's 3 gallons, they don't come out.
Well, they don't even come out for 25.
Well, there will from now on. That I can guarantee you.
What do you think? But according to the regulation, like 25 or less, they're not coming in.
You're right. That's what the regulations are.
Everything that goes in water is reportable in the DEPs.
Well, yeah,
Everyone's
everyone's
gonna
reportable,
be-
but what they're gonna do,
Everyone's gonna be-
depends on how they feel that day. I'm just telling you.
That's why, we got to put the things in place. Like if we could get a boom out there right away, because
If we get our own system, we don't have to rely on somebody coming from 60 miles away.
Right.
Deciding if they want to come out or
plus, if the wind is wrong that day, it's only going to take a few minutes. Yeah. So we need to put in place, first of all, how to notify the correct people, to get the ball rolling. And how do we get the person out there to deploy the barriers and that sort of things. I think that we all know that it's going to continue to happen, because that's the real world. People put their fueling hose in the wrong, and they put them in a rod holder or something else. I mean, it's going to continue to happen. We just need to figure out how do we get it, how do the appropriate people who need to deal with it get notified immediately, and what steps do we have to contain it as quickly as possible? And like you were saying, we need to work together on it.
Mr. Chairman, if we can, let's pause there in the interest of Ms. Hanson's time.
Okay.
If there's no other follow-up items for us on this. This will be an ongoing project to work out, see after we get a notification system, and after we get boots on the ground, and someone that'll upgrade the skill for you.
I really appreciate you coming here. Thank you. Does it feel good? That's the way it is.
I don't have any other.
Okay, yeah, I agree. And it was the timing was unfortunate.
It was.
Yeah.
Thank you. With that,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'll go to 5C.
Absolutely.
And then just maybe doing a little damage control. If we could go to item 7 and do the utility applications report.
Yeah,
Get those
sure.
guys back to work.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Ms. Hanson?
Okay, I wanted to talk to Mitch about moving that water flush at the end of Venus, because every time it goes off, it's filling in our swale. So we need to move it. We don't have a choice. We have to move it somehow. Because right now it's in the middle of a lot.
It's yours. You tell me where you want it. I'll move it.
Okay.
Whatever.
Because my next thing is that I have a project with Soto to clean up all the swales that the CID is responsible for. And I don't want to clean up that swale and then have that flush go up, and now I got sand.
We just need to tell them what, when, and where. Yeah. Thanks for coming today, by the way. See you in a while.
Only this one.
Seems like a lot of
I know, right?
The purchase order has been issued to Soto to clean out the laterals and the ones at the point and all of Newport. And if we come across something someplace else that we need to move away. I'm going to be with Soto the whole time doing it. So I'm going to coordinate.
Do you have a start date?
No, because I have to coordinate with him. I have to be there. I'm going to be there with his guys so that I know that the grade is right. We're doing everything that we need to do.
Did the homeowners know this is coming?
It's not. It's the size.
No, it's not.
No, yeah,
We will have to notify them.
But yeah, I think they need to know that it's
Because
coming.
unfortunately, some of those have hedges right down the middle of them.
Well, that's what I can't we prepare them now before you.
Because
I was want to appreciate that.
it needs to be.
Flush goes off the back.
Mine's not a problem.
In
There's
that
a lot of
regard, if someone wanted to coordinate the affected addresses, I'd be happy to send a little mail notice. We don't have a reliable email database of residents here.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to send, the first Cal asked me, like, hey, it's up, go down the street.
Right.
And in this regard, just for purposes of our record, this exceeds my administrative authority. So in the discussions here, the total price, including the grade stakes, is $7,506.19. If you have adequate.
For all of them.
Yes. Yeah.
It includes, bringing in some sort of hydroscopic, trackhoe, reshoot the swale out of the course, grade, drainage, and if necessary, sections of sod to be.
Yeah, some side of
Well, what we're talking about this, we should decide, what are we gonna do about vegetation in there? Like on my property, for instance, there's 3 royal palms in one. The royal palms are really having no effect on the water, but of course, we've got to make a one size fits all type of thing. And there are some that have palusas right down the middle of them, and there's not going to be any way for them to clean that while those are in there. How are we going to handle this with the homeowner? I mean, you know, there's going to be some hurt feelings if somebody has to meet their education.
if it's in the swale and it affects the drainage.
So are we going to say any vegetation and any of these things needs to go?
I should say just what you said.
Huh?
If it's vegetation that affects the drainage, it's gotta go.
Who makes a determination if it affects the drainage? Because I'm going to say those 3 big royals there aren't slowing that water down one bit. I can show it to you on camera, but I'm on the board.
But if it doesn't slow the drainage, then what is the problem?
I just want to get this out so that people aren't saying I'm getting a favor or the neighbors are getting a favor or whatever it happens to be.
There is an allowance for landscape restoration. That at this point is included sods, because that was a question I had. I wanted to make sure that the scope of work. Sure. If somebody's got storage or, you know, St. Augustine sod, we would come back through there and we would restore it. But it will be in accordance with the master drainage plans, grade and slope for the nature.
That's fair. When would that be able to be done?
We're waiting for him to tell us when it will be scheduled, and as soon as I get that, then we can send a letter out that we're coming and want to make sure it works.
Okay.
And since I'm going to spend my days with him, if we have to coordinate.
Okay. You just can't leave so long.
I'll be here for
I mean, would it be acceptable for Soto to be the one that determines whether it blocks the flow, or do we need the engineer to it blocks?
It's not about this.
Well, I realize that.
You
need like an official.
No way.
I mean,
We'll take pictures and we'll bring them back to the board.
and determine what should be removed.
And we may have to do it on a case by case basis.
Absolutely,
No.
like case by case.
Yeah, it's a good discussion if the board, you want to act with that for policy. So everybody's on notice. Extent to have vegetation if it interferes with district operation or maintenance. And or interferes with drainage such that it poses a risk to the properties, including the sub-base roads. I think 7 or 50 cases up to the community saying you will do it on individual site basis. Yeah, sometimes yeah, because sometimes it's so thin.
It's incorporated in the letter that he sends out.
Yes.
I think it's good, because you know, swales fill in also, silt in, pile up over here.
One of
I think there's
the,
a process agreement that we just put
Do a
together that says that you're done. If the swale has anything in it, that they'll pick up the charge. We don't pay for any of that. There's vegetation or building, intrusion into the swale, that's all on the own.
well, some of these new houses are putting bushes right in the middle of it.
Okay, so
Okay, so,
is this
Tony-
including the removal, right? They're in there now,
well,
unless it's a
it'll be
tree.
case by case.
And we charge any of this, any of the owners that they planted the swale?
Well,
We're gonna take it out.
You gotta decide.
Well,
Maybe they can take it out before we do it.
I'm just gonna use Mr. Mass's agreement, or not Mr. Mass, agreement we have for the
George, now say,
So in that agreement, I think it spells out that if someone plants in a swale in the right of way, CID is the right of way, right? That any expenses we have incurred to move the vegetation or to get it out of the way, rain, whatever, becomes an expense that's passed on to the owner of the property.
realistically, that should be right.
Because in some places they have pavers that are into the, and they know when they put the pavers in, you told them that if they have to come out, it's on them.
We do that with all our.
So that means that if we have, flues planted all the way down the drain and we have to move those, that should be passed on to the owner.
Or let the owner do it.
Or that they will do that.
Yeah, Tony and.
Yeah, we'll work on it. And
Just so I know this fits into one agreement that they're working on,
We put it in every.
right, so it's theirs, so we have to be careful.
I don't know if it's in any of those areas where people have planted vegetation, pavers, if there isn't, then it's easy use agreement or anything else. Then we have to just go on and work these drainage function. And one of the things, again, I think what Kevin and I work on case by case basis, as you know, tree roots, sometimes tree roots on the surface, that affects the percolation drainage to the point where you hit roots before you hit. So we'll work on something that will be better to people. And give them a notice that if we don't dig out, we will.
And I know we'll do the least amount of impact, and most cost effective, and try to be fair to everybody.
Just want it to work, that's all.
Anything further on that?
Nope.
Yes, sir. The water and wastewater treatment plants, all of our water quality requirements were met. With the reuse pump station over on the canal, we're running on 3 pumps. It's kind of running standalone right now. The wastewater treatment plant, we treated 2.14 million gallons. The water plant, we made 2.76 million gallons, and we distributed 7.36 million gallons of reuse. It's not on the ground, chlorine, all our normal lift station inspections. We did have a failure on the case route lift station on the telemetry, the SIM card, which we corrected the day that it happened. No odor complaints. We had a inspection with FD as part of our hardware rule. Part of that inspection, some of the equipment that was abandoned in the MVR was installed. They're asking us now, not going to be using the MVR, bring that equipment back to life. Do all of that.
What's that?
Yep.
So I'm glad to answer any questions. The cater company has been on site for 3 weeks. They're almost done. They're going to be here probably 1 more week, just finishing it up, tidying everything up. Other than that, everything fine.
Now, I understand we had a couple of water bills that were excessive, and you folks worked on it. Am I correct in that they found that the owner had a problem? It wasn't in our metering and water bill. Yeah. So that's all good.
We checked that twice.
Yes.
In one case, on the agenda today, is fine.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the resident,
Yeah.
He ran that amount of water for irrigation purposes. Not completely sure he understood the, wastewater surcharges on top of the normal consumption. He just paid this bill as a full and
And I think that's changed. I think that's changed since you talked to him. I think they actually found a break in the pipe. But then again, it still didn't go through the sewer. So we may have to help them out on a one-time basis.
And there is, because we researched this thoroughly and appreciate the extra efforts that the operator provided to make sure the calibration of the meters is functioning properly. There is a mechanism within your adopted rules of procedure that gives certain authority to me, citing exceptional circumstances, and if necessary, put together a committee. And there's appeal rights and whatnot. There's a good process there. And if it is in the interest of the homeowner to pursue an appeal of that, there's a mechanism there where we can avail.
Right.
he's been fully cooperative thus far and appreciates it. That we're able to pursue.
He's Tom's a fair guy.
I haven't met him, but everything that Kevin says about him is that he's really a very pleasant person, but new to the community. Mitch, can you elaborate on what you refer to as MBR? This has some capital cost components to it. And if you would at least review the more detailed equipment.
You're talking about 235,000, right?
Probably at least 235,000.
I have to say, oh,
So you go back to 2008, I believe, or in that general neighborhood of time, you had a upgrade on your wastewater plant, an extensive upgrade on your water plant. But when they upgraded your wastewater plant, they decided to go to a MBR system, which is really advanced way of treating wastewater treatment. And the one that you have is really advanced for what it was. It never worked for very long.
Yeah.
So it worked for several years. They had lots to go to. And along the way, when I was hired in, it wasn't working. And in conjunction with the current board then and the engineer, we decided to take it, not even to try to bring it back online, get the plant running back the way it was originally designed, which we did to the best of our ability, one side of it, and we put the MBR on hold. Well, as time progressed, it was eventually voted to just do away with the MBR and not try to bring it back to life at all, which in my opinion was a good idea. So with that being said, the one side of the wastewater treatment plant was running as designed, but your plant for the MBR, it is actually two trains, two plants. So if one there's a failure or when there's an overload, you have the ability to run on the seconds. Well, when they put the MBR on, they abandoned quite a bit of equipment with the seconds and some equipment that actually works for both of those trains. And that equipment is what the DEP is asking us to bring back online.
so we're not talking about going to that obsolete $1 million thing that did not work. We're not
It
going
can
to,
never be brought
okay,
back.
because we actually talked about removing that.
It could be removed, yes. So they're writing it out of the permit, this permit cycle. It will be.
As part of the renewal, they did perform an on-site inspection with staff to go through, and we have itemized the necessary equipment that is and will need to be at some point. We have a follow-up teleconference with the DEP sometime in November.
In November.
I would love to be able to tell them certain long lead term items have already, we placed orders to purchase this sort of thing. So if you'll give him another 5 minutes, I'd like for him to walk through because it's sort of in two different phases here, as I understand the proposal, but it is all the necessary parts and then labor to ultimately install to bring back this second treatment line online so that we not affect our rated capacity.
So basically, we've got an operating system now. We have a redundant system that we are not using, and they want us to get that redundant system working?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And the intent is in order to maintain our permitted rated capacity for that plant.
Correct.
Okay.
So I'll run through them real quick. The first one is an anox pump. That is the pump that just recycles flow without air. It's part of the treatment process. To replace the motor and repair the pump is $8,900. The second is recycle pumps and piping. That's a whole section of pumps and piping outside the plant as the water goes through this plant and it makes its whole treatment process. It is picked up by the recycle pumps, ran back to the beginning of the plant, and it really allows, it doubles the capacity of your plant. It allows you to run the same process through your plant twice. So you're trying to get twice the treatment out of it. For those pumps to be replaced, actually I think one's replaced, one's repaired, a new control panel, and there's a whole bunch of piping and valves, $3,570.
Much as long as you want to speak. Some of this may be able to be kicked over to the SCADA grant that we have.
Okay.
Maybe looking at it, maybe 30,000.
Okay.
We might be able to pull out of this because it's actually SCADA related. And.
So the control panel,
Control panel, I was looking at some of the labor. costs. So we got 15,000 for the pump in the control panel, programmable.
sure, and then we could break some of the labor out.
Maybe not. We might be able to take 30,000 out of there and get that into.
I can break that down. And all these prices are based on our contract. So that's just my labor and our contract price with the markup that we have agreed in our contract. There are two floating aerators that float up in the tanks. Those floating aerators to install the panel, install new, or actually refurbished aerators. They're like 30,000 a piece if we buy them new, but you can buy them refurbished for $8,000. So anyway, to install those and bring those back online, $31,721. And then the aerator and producers in the plant are in really poor shape. I know Dan has walked up there and went through it before with me. In order to replace and repair those, you have to pump the tanks down one at a time, get in there, physically clean them out, make the repairs, and replace the bad piping. For that, it's $79,685. And then there's one other that isn't really a must, but it's one that we've talked about for a long time. On your plant, the MBR, when it was installed, it makes such good effluent that you do not need any secondary filtration. But with our conventional clarifiers, you need secondary filtration. We currently have a updraft, we call it sand filter. That is our secondary filtration. But that sand filter is only one. So if it fails or has a problem, then we have no backup. And we've proposed all along to eventually put in a disc filter. And we proposed a disc filter in here. It's $235,000.
Okay, now this filter 7. I believe for this filter is in the contract.
We do have it. OMS.
So we may pull this, all this grant requests come through, we need to be able to pull this filter that's for out of there. So that would help.
Gotcha.
This filter this filter was 205,000.
225. Bring all back. So and what I'm saying is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, they're requiring all the others. The disc filter, they are not actually requiring it. It is something that will come in the future, something that would be really great for the plant. But
what that does is this filter does for us is we have the old sand filter. And once the MDR is on, we go back to the sand filter all the time. If that goes down, plants down until we can evacuate all the sand and get that fixed.
that is correct. This filter is sized at 2 times the size of your plant. So it really has redundancy in itself. And then we would use the sand filter as a backup.
Yeah, so there's this filter, once we put that in there, we'd have backup on that.
And the disc filter is a secondary filtration. It's just to filter out any small particles that are left so that we can meet secondary water standards for your irrigation. That's really, we have to do that for the water we send out to the lawn.
So the sum total of all of the equipment upgrades and installed, the numbers 183,880 as outlined in their detailed proposal that is dated October the 6th. And if you don't mind, we have reviewed this thoroughly. I think the pricing is reasonable. I'd like to have your approval today to order the equipment in order to share that with the DEP on the next step.
I'm a little confused on that. I started adding up all these pages, with different things on it. The last one, that's 225. I mean, we're talking, well, you know.
A 409.
Yeah, yeah.
2 phases. The second phase, one is the supervisor truck would be the future filter disc.
Okay.
That would my understanding is we're eligible to get reimbursed for that as part of our mitigation grant application that we have prepared as independently approved by FEMA local.
So right now you're looking for how much?
My numbers, about 183, 887, or 880, excuse me. I guess I would look at it a little bit different until those grants, because you never know until the check is in your hand in that process. Right, so I would probably approve the pay, and then hopefully our grants come through on that, because it is a grant. That's my recommendation. Phase 2, the total is $225,210 to wait further verification. And I bring that back. But I want to be able to share her state as part of a renewal of our operating permit. So we've already ordered $100,000 for equipment upgrades to be installed, and we prepared to move forward balance. Would you not put the radio this filter back in there at the same time you do the rest of the work?
Would I love to? Yes. So if we could do it all,
So we did
the state would love that as well.
and then we could refund that back if the grants come through. Because I can't guarantee you that, and our numbers are great. Right now in the grant process, we're as high as you can get on the numbers. It's looking good, but until that money comes in, all you can say that we have. You know, it's an offset. There was a place for it put in the budget for last year that carried forward $463,000 of swales of undesignated capital improvements. And so that's the source of money if you're prepared to do both phase 1 and phase 2 in the hopes that we'll get. Well, he's got cranes and stuff up there and equipment to work on this. It'd be crazy to have to bring that all back again and put the filter. You're prepared to move forward.
We really don't have a choice, do we? We need to get this done, correct?
Well, and the fixing this didn't do. We absolutely have to, and it's a condition of our permit.
It's not gonna get cheaper.
It will not get cheaper. And one other thing, though, on the disc filter, and now is the timing to get David to roll that into your permit, because you have to have a permit modification to install that disc filter. So he already has all the specifications. So he can put that in now. That will save engineering on the back end as well.
So in your estimation, this is probably the most cost-effective thing for us to do it all right now.
I think so. And here's how it'll work. They'll approve it, they'll write it into your permit, and they'll give us, for example, a year to install it. This filter has a really long lead time compared to everything else. Most of the stuff I can get in months. The disc filter is like 24 to 26 weeks.
Okay. So what do you fellows think?
I think we should go to the motion to do it all. I'd like to see the 409. I don't like to mislead anyone or come up short. I'd rather put the 409 out there right now. If the grant comes through and we get
Right.
200-some thousand back on it, fantastic. Grants move back into the fund. Right back into the
Right, we can't expect to get anything. I mean, if we,
grants are essentially until you have the check in your hand.
but like you were saying, our budget from last year, without blowing it, we actually have that in there as a contingency, but whether it's on the budget or it's not on the budget, if it's something that needs to be done, it needs to be done.
I just take things with her, like this, that it just, those are things that they're, different operational costs. It's anything special.
It's easier to maintain it itself. You have to think that it's just a matter of pressure washing it as compared to now. At least once a year, sometimes twice a year when your sand filter is blinded. We actually, I bring in a Vector truck. We have to get in there and clean it all out. If you notice the pallets of sand in the shop, that's what they're for, so that we got it readily available to rebed the sand filter.
Now, when we do that, do we get billed additional for that?
Sure.
Okay, so it doesn't.
That averages each time I do that, $4,000 to $8,000.
Okay.
How fast we get it done, it's a weekend, during normal hours.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, from my perspective, I'd actually for what I'm about to say. Other issues that were brought to our attention as a result of the inspection, in my opinion, material. They pointed out about some things about excess foam There were some issues involving a single, water quality sample that was sent to staff, which changed us.
Yes.
Showed us getting any.
We talked about that earlier at the meeting, said that we missed. So,
Would somebody like to make a motion to this?
If I can just get clarification, 409,000. The overall project, to consider construction. New equipment, new.
These are replacement facilities,
Upgrades.
upgrades as new. They previously existed, but need to be replaced.
I'm just making sure we don't have. I can check that.
That's a good question, yeah. Because we don't, I mean, if we need to, we should.
I've got too many.
While we're waiting, can you fill us in on the lead that you're finding in the well?
so when you guys first started, you asked me to pull lead samples from the drinking water wells to make sure that they're close to the gun range. We pulled those with no lead. But there is a monitoring well that is close to the gun range. It's back in the curve there, right by the pond. That monitoring well is coming back behind there. So, which we put a call in for the FEP, just to ask for that guidance. No red flags as of yet.
Do you think that we should be putting any more monitoring sites in there?
I think the DEP will, after they come in, they will likely want to expand their scope to see how much lead is actually migrating in groundwater. They'll probably talk to several more test wells to be put in. They'll study us a little bit, see how big the problem actually is. Then they'll come up with some type of response, how they will take care of it.
Also, what about our water levels and groundwater? Are you seeing any changes in that? Okay.
No, and this is my first experience with lead and arsenic in one particular well. Every once in a while we'll have it happen once, but then as the weather changes, the season changes, conditions change, it goes away. But this one had multiple times.
You're authorized to check water, what's in water, can you put samples in marine water?
Here's how it works. I can take a water sample, take it to the lab and ask for anything I want, but I can't just take a water sample to them and say, hey, tell me what's in it. They want parameters for me to ask what they're looking for. Sure, they can look pretty polite.
So you can pull from anywhere.
Anywhere.
So are you thinking that we should have periodic samples taken?
Yeah, why not? In the marine?
We do quarterly samples now in the test wells. Could we incorporate that with the same company that?
We could absolutely benchmark laboratories that we could ask them, they could pull one or two or three.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and that's not so that we're looking at the marine. It would also help them to know that they're not.
Well, no,
They don't have that going in there.
yeah, it's me looking at the marine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. I'm sure the community wants some marine plate. So versus, maybe they're trying, maybe they weren't. I don't know. But
My understanding,
clear it up.
my understanding too, you put the wrong thing out in your gray water, you know, it can take one contamination to start an algae bloom.
You gotta check.
Go back to the question at hand and just to distinguish for two different elements to the proposal. The first one is equipment, either repair or replacement that is existing. 183,880 is that number. And then the cost to construct a new concrete pad and install this disc filter is 225,210.
So these are two different projects?
Yep.
Okay, the first one sounds more like maintenance,
That's
and it's under the 195 threshold.
Yes.
So the second one sounds like construction, and it's under the almost $500,000 threshold. Like the second one.
Yes.
It's under the $500,000.
yes.
The statute says 300,000 and we use this adjustment from January 1st, 2009 forward, and that It's almost $500,000. As opposed to the legislature saying, here's the number, they say, here's the number, go to this book, figure it out. And the engineer, so it's, both projects were under, for competitors, so
I just want
I'm comfortable. Thank you for allowing me.
Even if we went out for bids, we're not gonna get it cheaper than you are, are we?
Honestly, and I am being, if that filter went out for bid, I was gonna ask you if I can submit another quote, because it's at least $100,000 cheaper than what it would cost you if it went out for bid, because I have to abide by your contract.
Oh, I got you.
Sure.
Yeah,
I would love to bid.
I think the board, based upon what Neil indicated, and Mitch, the scope, the board can originally say these are two separate projects, not splitting it artificially. One's maintenance, one's construction, both under the professional.
So do we have a motion?
We have a motion. They're not working on it.
Any more discussion? Anybody? All right, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Very good.
Thank you for allowing me to interrupt.
I'd also like to make another motion.
Go.
I'd like to make a motion that we expand our test well, quarterly testing to include samples from the marina.
So are you gonna give me a list of what we are looking for out of that marine?
Yeah, let me talk to, some water people and see what they recommend for test. And we'll get that number back to you, but I don't believe being that they're here on site already, that'll be that much of an expense to you.
I'm just gonna guess probably under $200.
Well, here's then. Is there any place else we should be testing other than the marina? I mean,
We have our test wells.
Retention ponds for.
well, what I'm thinking of, I mean, for like a comparison type of thing, I hate the idea that we may be just focusing on the marina and saying, you know, I mean, should we be looking at?
Water under the bridge, I mean, like.
Yeah, or
Well, yeah.
Stella Maris North or South, those two
I
areas.
guess if you're gonna do that, you could look at maybe testing both in the community, maybe go down on Newport, or you go down on Winter.
So there is a company called Collier Water, and that's kind of their forte, is they test ponds, lakes, fresh water. They can probably guide you a better area or what you're looking for. It might be worth calling them and seeing what they would recommend.
Let's start with this for now. Let's get
So why don't for a couple $100, you want to start the process with their already testing service?
Sure.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we expand our quarterly testing of the test wells to include samples from this end of the second year.
And that'll be dependent that my lab is willing to do that, which I don't think it'll be an issue, but.
All right, very good.
Okay.
And they will be looking for.
I would like to get that from the beach.
Okay.
What they'll actually look for.
Okay.
All right, second to that,
One second.
all in favor?
In the interim, because I'm also trying to schedule a meeting with Commissioner Castro, Collier County Pollution Control, does water quality sampling throughout Collier County. And if we find that they are already sampling some of the provincial waters here, then I'll share that with you at your meeting in November. Okay.
Anything else, Mitch? Thanks for coming. Good to see you again.
Mr. Chairman, I think that takes us back into public comments other than those that were.
Anybody out here have a public comment that you want to make, or of course, come up and give us a name?
This is just a question. But some people think that the rent kayaks to the building as you enter. Trying to but some people have something, someone living there. I'm not, but I don't feel.
Even the rest of the
real estate on?
I stopped and talked to them. Their plan was that they were gonna build 4 bedrooms in there, for better terminology. Basically, they were setting it up so they could have 4 different people staying in there or living in there. They were gonna put in showers and whatnot, but basically they were turning that into living quarters. I asked them about permitting because of course I don't believe it's zoned for that. They indicated at that time that they were working with the county to get the permit for that. Now, I haven't followed it up and I don't take people at their word when they say they're doing something, so we should follow up on that to make sure that they, number one, have applied for that permit or whatever documentation they need. And second of all, that they're not actually living in there until that is accomplished.
Does it seem like it's appropriate for people to be living in the office?
Unfortunately, it's all codes. We as a CID have no jurisdiction over what goes in there. But we can make sure that the codes are being followed. That's one of the problems with us not owning some of these properties. We open it up to have other things in it than we wish were there.
There should be a permit all the time. There's a permit. A permit's full. If not, it's how bad.
Yeah. You know what? I'll make sure that gets followed up on to make sure that has been approved and that inspections continue to go on. But this isn't, unfortunately, then they're going to park stuff outside too, and they're like any other thing. We have to follow city codes or county codes, and
That is an entry, that's gonna fall, a lot of that, there is cross traffic and entry, we're gonna be careful of that.
we're gonna have to work with the county on that. Yeah, thank you though for that input. Anything else from anybody? Steve?
Yeah, Steve Jeffer, 7577, 202. Really questions for you, Neil. I know Steve, you wanted packets to be put up onto the site, so if you can look at those before reading. I couldn't find it.
We can have a discussion about that. Really? We, at the last meeting, talked about putting draft minutes on the website or draft items after they were approved by Ms. Hanson. And to do that, we did working day. So we. I know. I don't believe that we had a discussion. Here's my main comment. As was the case today, the information that I did and that we share electronically with the board a week prior to the meeting. Every month, we end up with stuff like this. That either comes from the attorney or the engineer or the insurer, and we end up with these handouts. And so the final record of the proceedings is always more than what gets uploaded. And but that's a board decision. I'm not opposed to doing it. I don't have any plans that upload the entire agenda. At some point, there's a company that we use for the web host is going to be a cost associated.
Oh, I thought we talked about that.
We've talked about this several times. We told you, we want you to put the agenda packet on the website. I can go back and get you all the minutes of the meetings. I can show you what we've talked
That's
about.
not important. That one of my recollection, I said when he stood up, I'm not opposed to that, but the limo will always then be, what do we do with this kind of stuff?
It's the same thing that we're doing right now.
We'll get it at the meeting, but basically the agenda packet will be on it.
What do you say is extended cost? How much?
As I sit here right now, I don't know that material today, but let me get from our vendor, how we're paying for, data on their server. I'm not concerned.
The thing of this, Neil, we've talked about this multiple occasions. I've talked to Kevin about this on multiple occasions. There was no gray area in there what we wanted. We wanted the agenda packet, the same thing that we see 7 days in advance that rarely happens, but we want to see the same thing on our website. You gave us pushback on it at that time, but we said that's what we want.
It's a board decision. What I said was, I don't have any of the clients.
I don't care.
There's the related matter on their minutes. We're doing that in accordance with their request.
So if nobody else does anything, and I hear this excuse all the time, nobody else is doing it, so why should you do it? If everybody else is doing something wrong, do we need to still continue to do it that way?
I've said 3 times. I said, I don't have any clients that put out the complete agenda and all of the backup material. I'm willing to do it. I don't know today what the ultimate cost of that might be, because that becomes an additional public record that we maintain through your web host. If there's a material cost to that, I'll tell you at the next meeting.
The other thing that I'd like, along with this, that we've been talking about, is, and that it be posted on with this, it's every invoice that you pay, so that the community can see, even if it's redundant in person, it's the DL or whatever, so that they have if somebody wants to look at it, they have an understanding of what they're paying for, paying special assessments.
I've been asking for,
I think
to at least be able to see the engineering and the legal. And I got them on Wednesday.
I don't mean you have to hold it for us to sign. I just want the ones you've already.
Let me just make sure. The best way to do that would be to share the check register, because my software has a work format where I can just show you what the check register looks like, both the deposits as well as the disbursements that were made, because we have a single thing. I guess I don't want to have different where every invoice I get, I've got a system in place to then scan it and send it to the web host provider to make sure if somebody wants to look at the check register and they have a question, make a public records request saying, I want to see the solar landscaping invoice for November. That would be
okay. Yeah, that type of invoice, or when we pay, say we choose one of these mining places. Yeah, they're removed from mine. Once we remove the mine, we paid somebody, then I think it should be documented with what we paid. And when we do the lawyer, especially the lawyer here, when they break things out, I think the community should be able to see that. I really think that's a good.
They want to see the disbursement, or they want to actually see the.
Well, I know it's broken down invoices. I think they should be able to.
By broken down, you mean line by itemized costs for engineering.
Yes.
We also get submitted invoices for utility operations.
Okay.
Okay, so then we can either vote or we can determine by consensus. In addition to effective today, get agenda, including today's agenda, and all of the backup uploaded to the website in a new portal. And we will also produce then the monthly check register of all deposits and disbursements to include itemized invoices for legal and engineering and utility operations, because those are the ones that are needed for itemized.
I don't think it could be much more transparent. But
And that's the thing, when Dan and I ran to get on this board, it was gonna be open and transparent, what we know, they know. And quite frankly, I'm getting really irritated about the fact that I continue to ask for like these agenda packets to be put up and stuff, and it keeps falling on deaf ears. I'm really frustrated with that.
That's not true.
That's absolutely true.
I mean, we upload the current agenda index a week in advance of the meeting, and we occasionally receive requests for information. Your minutes and now the videos, all of the meetings are uploaded as soon as they are received. And that's why we're having this demonstration project.
Steve is up here to ask us about the facts, just this fact of right here that goes to us. It's supposed to. That's all. So we have touch it. Steve, go lead. We got one other thing for you. So this packet is what we want to see posted. When you send it to us, just send it to the website, post it on the website so that any one of these people can pull this packet up, see the agenda,
The check register
see what we're looking at.
and actual copies of the preceding month's professional service invoice.
So I don't want anybody telling me on the street where it's falling.
So here's the thing.
It's there, it's there.
We have a disagreement now, Neil and I. You as board members accept every meeting I've had sat through. If I ever asked that this be put on the website,
I think you're clarifying. I mean, I think
That wasn't my meeting, but it's not because I'm not willing. I've said, if you want to scan and upload all this stuff, I mean,
Well, you already have a record copy of this. This was a good thing that I brought up today. This book was already electronic copy, this and that's posted on the.
but in
website.
addition, then you could scan the check register and the itemized professional service agreement says,
right, especially with like a big project like what we're doing. Utilities. That's great.
Well, Steve's
And
up.
now we're.
so that's a good thing. That's a separate invoice. So anytime he steps outside of his operating and maintenance contract for items, major capital improvement projects that have been.
Yes.
I'm not opposed.
Okay, as long as Steve's up there before we send it back to Steve. Steve put together an email list where the community would be able to talk to each other. And I don't know where that's at right now. It's been pushed to this board a couple of different times, and I don't know how we're going to use it or how we want to use it. But I think we have to look at that. I think it would be a great tool to be able to reach the different associations and stuff here.
It all becomes public, right? Obviously,
The whole reason is it's not public. We went through this last spring. And I did a fair amount of work when I got all the HOA managers in the area, provided that to Steve, and that's fine. I think what we want to do is not have it be public, have it be available to Neil and his company. So if we came up today, well, we need to contact the residents to have them in their slip. I don't know how they don't contact it, right? We don't have that.
Neil is in his office, Neil, the custodian of public records district. I think they give him any document for his capacity as custodian in our public.
yeah.
yeah, once he touches it, it's public.
But there again, we allow people to opt in or not.
That's just what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Is that we talked to we should probably do a pass through the, managers. I know Joyce set up an email alias that was not her personal email, it was for corporate code. So it's, emails could be sent to there and then to get to Joyce. So we went through this last spring. It's okay that it hasn't come over, but I'll just like this to be recommend or ask that you guys come up with a plan. The other part of that is put in the utility billings an opt-in form, so people in the houses would have an ability to register their contact information. You know, again, however, if they're okay, knowing with the understanding that it's going inside public.
Yeah. Board's consensus is our current billing vendor has the ability to do supplemental mailings. And if we want to establish a self-initiated opt-in email database that could then be maintained, say, once a year, you'd be surprised how many companies have changed hands here in the last 6 months or new roads. I think we have the ability to
do that. But as Tony said, there are some isolated privacy issues. We just need to put a little disclaimer on that saying that if you want to participate in the CID's database or updates and communications, you know, that it constitutes a public record.
Deb Van, I can't think of her last name, should be back this week. Her and Lyle, her husband's name is Lyle. I think she would work with you directly on that. If that would,
nothing I can do, it's really something that,
So we'll explain.
I can assist him. I think that, you know, I'd be happy to provide any help I could.
I would really love for this to get happen.
It would be a nice way to do that. Let us explore through the muni billing app or billing cycle if we can pull it off electronically, or if they would do it as a supplemental mailer to the
I want to put you on the spot, but maybe we could come back with a proposal, or at least a date for a proposal. That way it doesn't get, just take action on it.
Yeah, well, let me see if what I said is true. Will they do a supplemental mailing? Can it be done electronically through their app, which would make it a whole lot easier? And I can't imagine there's any cost associated with that other than the printing of the mailing, which it's not what we're paying for printing.
Can we get a date that we can, Steve can expect to find out about this stuff?
We talked to muni billing. Now, is it weekly or every other week? Every other week. We have a conference call with them every other week. I'll know what the logistics are.
So within the next 2 weeks, you'll be talking to them.
This is Tuesday, Wednesday.
Can you'll be dealing with that. Can we get together with Steve and give him that information as quickly as we can? So let's not drop this. We dropped the ball on it. So
We started, I think, 6 months.
Keep it going. Yeah.
Okay. We have more important things.
Well, you went home and quit bothering us. I said, you went home and quit bothering us. I know. Thank you. And I appreciate the help. I really do.
Or you said Gunther?
Gunther.
Will you guys give your contact information? We'll have those answers by Wednesday afternoon next week.
Perfect.
And then one last thing.
Yes.
We have talked about potentially turning over maintenance of the 41.
Meridian?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Baird and I have requested,
And I thought,
Mr. Baird and I have requested a meeting the week of November 6th with Commissioner Castro to explore at this point 2, possibly 3 issues. 1 is resolution for streets. 2 is the US 41 median maintenance cost. And 3, if it's worthy, we want to explore an interlocal agreement with them to do utility billing on.
perfect. So we'll get a report out on that next week.
Her name is IX. And we requested a meeting week of November 6th.
Perfect. So I'll have a report out on that.
I will, or Mr. Baird will provide for close to that when we see it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public?
Is there a way?
County has a separate process that requires the petitioner to send a public notice neighborhood informational meeting within, I think it's 10,000 feet of the subject location. Is that correct?
So everyone will get a letter?
Didn't they already have a neighborhood information or not?
I don't remember ever getting a letter. But at the very least, I think we should be able to post that on our website.
Well, you just see the planning status.
And hopefully maybe we'll get Steve's thing going here and we can just.
There may be a neighborhood information meeting. There hasn't already been.
I don't think they're wait a minute, we had that one over at the hotel. We had one at the hotel.
You did, I think it's.
Yeah, we did.
Receive a final application, it can be easily added to the, I haven't seen it, but there is one. We have it projected.
They have to post large signs, mailings, notice in newspapers, commission, county commission. Let me just see what I can find out.
I talked to Lindsay not too long ago, and I think he said they're on the agenda with the planning commission in their November meeting.
Well, that's one of the things that came up with one of the meetings, when somebody was in contact with Fastway about what case needed to get going. At that time, you guys would meet with the Castro or something, or is that going to be part of the November 6th meeting?
We have had some discussions with his attorney, this Macedonia, and whether or not I'm not sure why you would meet with the county commissioner in advance of going.
Well, just to see what he could do, facilitate whatever the case.
He was looking for us to expedite.
Yeah, something, because he thinks the drags the feet.
But my understanding is that there is a petition, we can get it.
Yeah, I can retrieve it. In fact, I've got an email from Francesca Pasadena. The county wants the sign posted at the code property, so you know who the council is. So just contact. She doesn't indicate when the date is or information number. I'll try to find out in the next half hour.
So now you're keeping your billing separate on this stuff that you're doing with Francisca and whatnot, right?
I have a separate transaction. If not, I always break it.
Perfect.
I mistakenly put it.
Okay. Good. All right.
Wait a minute, what are you talking? Pasadena.
I'm talking about all the work that he's doing for parcel 13 should be billed.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll just make sure I go back there. I can always pick it out.
Okay.
Does she say whether or not it's final petition?
No, I need to find the PL number.
That's what he indicated to me, but
Well,
I'll be looking
for
for
that record. We can, I don't know how lengthy it might be, so there may be a staff report and a site, so that might be the best thing to upload to the website.
Oh, there's a bunch of stuff.
Otherwise, they can make a public records. I'm just saying, if it's 300 pages long, that, we may want to just have a staff report, the pertinent site plans.
What I can do is, we have an email from this last year that has a share file basically. That all you do is click on that, a bunch of documents filed with the county, and I can just forward that. Okay. And then people can track it themselves. So, this is December 1st, 2022, but then the people going to CID portal, that's the county website, follow it. I'll just do that through that.
all right, we better move along there.
There's a link other.
No, this is a link to what they file. Correct. But I think it'd be helpful with that, say this is a share file, and then you can follow it by going to the phone.
Yeah.
Then they have those crazy,
I think that takes us down to item 4. That's the minutes. There are 2 sets. They have one meeting, Hanson. The first one being the lengthy meeting that put on August 31st. They're approximately 20 pages long, and then the text for that. The regular meeting minutes of September 15.
I have to say this is a breath of fresh air. This looks good. Thank you, Lisa Hanson.
And going forward, to make
Whoever else.
to make it easy for Ally in our office, is the one who works with her. I will tell her she need not type all of the minutes in a Word document. If she will simply scan, if she took her summary minutes today, she likes the format that has pages first. There's no sense in it being typed twice. So we'll follow up with that. But we got 2 different sets. Number 1 is August 31st. So she has the code out of this.
There are other changes. Does anybody have any corrections that they want to make on on these 2 months? Can we get a motion to accept?
I actually suggest to change
for it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. This is on the August 31st meeting minutes.
Mm-hmm.
On page 2, line 13.
Mm-hmm.
People may think they're abnormal, non-abnormal.
Yeah, you're right.
This is not abnormal.
It could be.
And that's correct. I mean, in context, I mean, I understand. On page 5, line 15, I think how come it's PREPAM, I believe.
PHAM. Yeah.
So PREPAM.
I believe that's right.
And on page 6, line 2, I think an E is missing before the RU. Would be, there's 2 counts. Yeah, I think kangaroo.
You're right.
Character. Yeah. On page 9, line 19. But we can insert, because this is what I advised the board. He said, Mr. Pierce advised. That's page 9, line 19.
Okay.
It could be inserted, Mr. Pierce advised, comma.
Okay, absolutely.
And then, maybe my math is off. But, on page 10, again, line 2, it's called the non-admirable assessment. So,
See page 10, line 2?
yes.
Yep, Admiral. Yep.
Then I wasn't sure I understood. So after revisions, the revenue for boat slips would be 574,000. And then it goes. So the sentence before that, so it's 23,072. I'm not sure that 574.89 number is.
Yeah, that doesn't.
That line 5.
That doesn't work.
The nuns had to take that.
So, can we approve this?
Can you correct those numbers?
Yep.
I'm working with you on it. On page 13, line 16. It says BFCC, is that the BFCC maybe? Board of County Commission? Yeah. On page 16, line 23, I think it should be FDEP. And then lastly, because your audience, Sam Lashir is spelled in line 14, page 17, page 17, lines 14 and 19. Sam Lashir. It should be Leishe. And that's almost
Motion to accept this minutes as amended with amendment.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Accept the ones that occurred on September 15th. Again, these have been by 18th.
I have a few comments to go on page 2, line 24. I think the word displeased should be displeasure. Okay. On page 3, line 29, bounding, boundary. And that's all. On page 6, line 10, doesn't indicate who made the second to that particular motion. You can name. Who wants to blame us?
Russ did it. I did. Russ did it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other discussions on that? I make a motion to accept those minutes as approved, as amended. All in favor? Aye.
Item 5A today, according to your request, is a recommended contract for Dolly Barber and Brundage as a result of the unanimous shortlisting of them as the preferred firm. Additionally, I was asked if the current agreement with Paul Montez has a 30-day termination. Verify that.
Okay, well, we want to finish up with that field, what they're working on now.
He has two, I'll call them open tasks. One is the one we discussed earlier today, permit engineer record thus far. Continue with that. The second task, the preliminary evaluation of a water storage. He's sort of to the point where I think he's done what he intended to do as part of task 1A is geotechnical work remain to develop the data, the structural engineering data. So I think that is a stopping point. If you wanted them to continue that through to do the design phase, those costs would be pretty.
Or one line, we had the 225, had all the information in place for that screens, whatever the, instead of the sandstone there. He had all the information set on that too. So
I've already reviewed, there is a provision within their agreement about designs, documents and records that we are entitled to. There's a process for all of that to be itemized. And if the pleasure of the board is to move forward with that, Gurley and Barber as the new engineer of record, I would actually solicit their input as to all of the records that they feel are necessary for them not to recreate or spend billable hours trying to research records that we're otherwise in.
All right.
So is that guaranteed? That what we're saying?
I'm telling you, it's in his existing agreement.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I would suggest the board approves that change of agreement, only Barber run that a more standard form agreement we entered into, because this one is missing a lot of provisions.
Yeah,
Because we have standard provisions with regards to public records, you verify prompt payment, notification. Well, this one's for them as opposed to the current one, so. So if we take a standard agreement, basically,
we've discussed that with him. If you have suggested language on obligation to e-verify their importance.
I think a whole agreement. Basically, the focus would be attacking the scope and the rates to the standard for the
I have a couple questions on this.
Go.
All right, number one was what Tony was just talking about. In here, it says that they own the documents. How does that work? We should own the documents.
Again, it's not, the language I would suggest is the same as in the current engineer's agreement.
The other one I have, 0.5 interest after 30 days. If our invoices come in, we bring in the board for approval. By the time we turn around and pay those.
That's another issue. The prompt payment that has a different time frame and it's different. Yeah, so that gets back to the prompt payment act. We're subject to their subject to also.
Now, you guys have read this proposal and you know what we've been doing with Paul Montez. Is there any oddities that we should, I mean, are we kind of apples to apples here, or these guys gonna be more or less?
I never got the rate increase from Paul Montez for fiscal 2024, but I can tell you their rates are comparable to the existing rates that they're paying at Pelican Bay. Which is fine. I'm familiar with that process. I have not used Paul Montez in any other cases, and I do have one arrangement with Montez at a resort, and I don't know if we have gotten 2024 rates, but I will tell you that the rate basis in this marketplace between Johnson Engineering and Davidson's and Minor and Montez, they're all pretty much the same rate structure.
Do they have a definition of what professional 4, 5, 6, 3, 2, 1 tech 6, 5? You know what these positions are? How do they have definitions for that?
They're different job descriptions, so it's part of the provisions. If you want them to designate the primary individuals that would be under general or specific
task is assigned, we can do that.
I would just like to see it so we don't pay for 3 different people that come to board meetings.
Already has so scheduled. They do not do that in the case of health today.
Okay, good.
I mean, and I had made that clear that, you know, in advance of the meeting for 3 different individuals who are going to be reviewing the proposed agenda, 90% of which has nothing to do with civil engineering as a waste of time.
So they understand that we're gonna be looking at everything, what we've been through with this last, what we think we've been through with this.
I think I've made that pretty clear.
Okay.
As long as we're on this too, a couple days ago, I was over on, that street with George Mass, and Gary McKinney. And Gary had called me and he had a blowout in his, retaining wall there, his riprap and whatnot, and he was asking for advice, so I went over and I talked to him and I got him hooked up with Soto. And the other day, Soto was over there working on Kinney's riprap, and I was talking to George Mess, and I looked up and Dave Schmidt was standing there at the culverts, and I asked him what he was doing there, and his reply was that he was directed by our district manager to come over there and do something. But he didn't elaborate on what it was. It just was basically, I came here because the district manager told me.
I did have that conversation with him in order to respond to a request or an assertion by the county engineer, Jack McKinnon. Is this the one involving the,
Yes, that's right.
Was it the drainage facilities and the question from Jack was whether that type. Touch base.
Dave was at a meeting in Monco Island. He offered a cost to come by and look at in order to give us a assessment in response to the county engineer. I've got in order to close that out of this meeting.
The trouble with it is, he has been there how many different times? And we got to pay him to come back and look at it again? I don't understand that.
Well, I have no idea, being relatively new, I have no idea whether or not he'd been out there before. I asked him if he could be available to review the final condition and respond to the county engineer's request. And the fact it's not marked out.
So we're done with that location.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Annalise had questions you can comment about. She's working on it to make sure you got her.
I thought it was done at the last meeting.
Yeah, we had the graphics, we have the explanation, we had the document to Mess. Mr. Mess and Ms. They're comfortable with the agreement, they've signed the agreement. So you can make sure the graphics are. Mr. Chen, not heard anything. I don't know if
Well,
because the problem is, you know,
there's that whole thing there. I was not happy that this engineer is still getting a chance to bill us further, but also it looked like we were continuing to harass those people by sending that engineer in there to have them look at it again and again and again. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and there was, I think it was a response to Director Taylor, is this kosher, correct, proper?
Right.
So if anybody has, say, please, agreement, if it's okay.
I don't know who that is.
He's an extra neighbor.
Yeah. I think it's a house owner.
Oh, the wife's name. Okay. Gary McKinnon is.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's,
Okay.
it's legal.
Same people.
It's a trust, it's a trust.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you for the clarification.
yeah.
Okay.
Pat Neal and this, who's representing. Fine, so
We're
we
done.
signed it. And then we just need, yeah, an extra neighbor, and then, and we just verify the graphics.
Okay. So you and Annalise got that covered.
Yes, sir.
Good to go. Moving on.
I guess, would the chairman be authorized to sign the new agreement subject to Tony's provisions for those areas?
Absolutely.
One more question before we get there.
Oh,
We were talking about the 30-day notice for home repairs. with the permitting process where it's at the plant, the monies.
I would
These are really- Can hold on to somewhat finish that up in 30 days and put that to rest. Is that going to pay? Are we going to have to turn that over? And that's something like feed on everything. If I understand your question, as part of the wastewater treatment plant, you want permit. I don't know if there are any open RAIs or request for issues. I think my preference would be that since the application is started by any unresolved RAIs, otherwise I would think that your new engineer would oversee the installation approval of the various upgrades. So that whatever's necessary, all we need for RAIs is part of complete the whole process.
Well, yeah, what we can do, under the permit provision, it says, is to may terminate upon notice that at such time as the engineer receives notification of the intent of the district to terminate the contract, the engineer shall not perform any further services unless directed to do so in writing by the in the event. So that'll be part of the termination notice. Will say it's the agreement's terminated. How long we are authorized to
That's the
continue.
only one that I'm aware of is the one that you're discussing. Right.
So we're not cutting them loose before, well, we still need them, right? That's kind of what you're going at.
Yeah, he'll have most of that finished up. He could finish up most of that, other than the installation of the equipment and things. He should have most of that paperwork finished up for 30 days.
I think so.
And again, what we can do is say he's authorized from the services, they pick a date 45, this particular phase, that their reasonable time in the documents.
The only other thing I have that I want to make sure is Home Montez, I believe they bought out
Goldman bought that.
the original company, some other documents. If the first year is something that gold engineering firm that was here, Home Montez came in. I think they did a lot of some of the old. Anyway, my point is that we get all that information that Home Montez has dealt with for years and years and years. I have asked that successful today. They prepare a suggested for every electronic record that they feel is necessary. I'd be happy to share that. Electronic record, unless they converted all those old records, they would have it.
If I recall correctly, I think they indicated that all of them not yet been converted. There's my recollection.
I've been in his office and it's
A lot of papers. I got that impression from our last board meeting last time.
But why put it in an orderly fashion on electronics when you can go through it page by page and look for it, build for it?
So all those old books.
Sounds like my old style.
Yeah. Me too.
Want to see my paper box?
So Tony, what they invest, that if in the opinion of that Harvard, if there are physical copies or plan sets of structure drawings of the original plan or all that on pages, are we entitled?
I'd say we treat them as public records. I mean, they and again, the agreement says all the records. I'll give you a.
Well, yeah, they've talked about a one binder, I think, meeting question on here, or meeting or things like that. And there is definitely one.
I was there one day and there was 3 binders.
So definitely.
Besides piles of stuff on
I
shelves.
know that I locked them for out a couple of binders before Dave, and I know that I have drawings from the old engineering firm way before.
Yeah, and here's the language in the restate. I've got it on. All rights in all plans, drawings, specifications, ideas, concept designs, sketches, model, program, software, creation, inventions, reports, other tangible work, product originally developed by engineer pursuant shall be remain the sole exclusive property of the district. And then I would also take the position as from the initial or public records or.
Okay, so.
You know, hold on, Ted.
No one tell that. everything did not get to me.
I understand.
Sure. And so now, this term, I don't want to be in the same boat.
I understand. Without being crass, being dispersant at any point. Knowing Bob Mulhare, Paul, knowing Gagement, knowing a lot of the engineers there, I'm comfortable. I think Neil's comfortable that they will provide everything. That your assessment?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Dave to the extent this, we know Bob and Terry Ford. It's Terry Ford. We've worked with him for almost 20 years.
Okay, so do we need to make a motion for you to do this termination letter?
It's two motions. One were to have the manager send the termination notice to Paul Montez. And part of that would reflect the scope of work still to be performed, given the authorization to figure out a time frame to complete it. Sorry, and then the first and second one would be the authorized clears. Subject to. Those would be the two.
How long would you expect it to take you to get that letter together?
I can do 5. Phase Friday. No, only because I've got a county commission meeting on Tuesday and 2 other CID board meetings at the same time. So I get to work on Saturdays. I do that, and then I try not to make sure, trying to make sure people don't know I'm doing it. No, because I get bombarded. I stopped responding to even talking to Sunday mornings.
No.
It wasn't there.
Okay.
I let it go to voicemail, then I'll call back. I'm just kidding. So then there would be the motion.
Okay.
And if you're deciding.
I want to make a motion that Neil's firm makes this termination note letter available as soon as Tony gets it done.
Okay.
All in favor? Laughing. You want
Separate motion to authorize Chairman to execute the revised agreement to be prepared by Tony.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Item D today, I believe with Mr. Mayor, that we have solicited 3 proposals now for the demolition of the entry masonry wall, this drive. Kevin, I'll ask you just to share with the board. We had a separate handout. We got 3 different things to remove that masonry wall.
Yes, they range from 18,000 to 28,000 on an average. My question would be is, if we do choose that method and we remove the walls, are we just not going to have walls? Now, I know that there's the subject of matter is the walls are not actually on CID property, they're on individual property, and it's a matter of whether we're going to keep maintaining that even though the walls are not on the property, or work out some other kind of provision where I would like to see us maybe extend the easement at a particular cost, maybe that we could see if these individuals would be willing to, so we can keep the wall and actually maintain it this time. But that's up to the board. Our board what we want to do. So that's what I got.
I don't feel I can get any input on that. I'm involved in it. Certainly, let's hear what you guys' views are.
That's what Casey said, no matter what the wall is.
Well, you haven't offered enough money.
No, I know. When you offer maintenance, that's what my agreements are. 9,000 a head, 9,000 a wall. Then we can put in, build something. We have to have that. You don't have to pay for it now. Right? If you increase that easement, then you're in over.
Well, we're going to pay 9,000. Yeah, that's something to look at. We'll make sure it's
Right.
Sounds fair.
Yeah, a couple different answers are, and these are permanent interest in property, and I don't know what impact it will
But if I'm like, I said, I need that, where that, I need that entry, right, where that easement is, that thing next to you, then it's out of luck, so you can.
understand. I think that's what Mr. Sanchez indicated in the past. Was that one approach of the lease, some annual compensation. And then the question is how much we invest in this. And how this be in its subjects would be subject to termination and all on if we're call it development plans. And can you work out an amortization number of dollars if you the landlord parts are certain later. I don't know. I know it sounds like complicated, but if that's if you put that much money into it, and it comes out earlier than anticipated.
Steve, have you checked into DOT requirements to that corner?
Well, definitely you wouldn't have a driveway.
You wouldn't have a driveway that close because they can't have it that close to the intersection.
Only thing you could put on there would be signage, and then you're gonna get into an issue of, you know, life has changed. Are they gonna let you keep signage that close to the road and turning lanes and blah, blah, blah? I mean, that's
So
complicated.
likely, where those walls sit, there would be nothing really around parking area.
My guess is if you want a wall, you better keep the one that you've got, because I don't see you're gonna be able to get permits to put one back in there at some other point. One other thing about JC that you could think about is, you know, he's looking for, ERC things, you know, so, I mean, that's another direction that you could look at it. Yeah. You could do a long-term easement lease on it. You know, there's a lot of ways you can try it out.
Well, if you guys agree with it, you know, I mean.
I suspect I'm gonna be pretty long.
Wow.
Though you can grow that.
I'm different. I drive in here every day, so I don't know.
I can't notice them now, they're overgrown with shrubs.
Well, I maybe that's it. I notice the lights. I like the lights up front, so I don't know. I really don't notice the walls. But if the walls are going in,
I think the biggest thing, is my personal opinion, is those banyan trees.
You know,
That's the eye-catching part, you know what I mean? The walls, yeah, okay, they're there, but you notice those big trees. I think it would be a crime to have to put those big trees out.
I agree. This is for the masonry walls. Right, but if we, I think we should figure out what we're gonna do. If I take the walls off, and I have to go back at and review the tree. If we're thinking about the walls, maybe we should get those agreements, if possible, in place. Which is all inclusive, trees, the wall, whatever, I can't see moving the pieces.
well, if you can't use it for anything else anyway. And I would be, well, I mean, you said you researched.
You might be able to put sign. Yeah, I don't know.
Put signage on top of the lawn.
I know there's for me intersections like that, and I know there's a setbacks or any access roads that come off that. I just don't know if there is.
We actually know who owns what. Where the
You need to be
research is
recognized,
done.
ma'am.
I mean, are we sure we do this? Williams, 141 Wilderness. I mean, the walls are in bad shape, and we talked about taking them down, leaving the lights and leaving the beautiful trees. But you're right, you wouldn't want to be surprised to have somebody say, "Oh, I'm cutting down all of the trees." So, you know, we didn't get an agreement up front.
That's what we're trying to determine. So.
To answer the question about, I believe there's a survey that shows the location of walls relative to the property. And
Surveys have
so
been,
we're not aware of any easement that exists.
there is no easement for one thing.
So I think that's potential.
There never was an easement.
Well, do you want to table this right now and try to see what agreements are available, or somebody work on contacting extra agreements?
Why not,
Well,
Joe?
I think we can go to 9,000 for each, you know, as far as buying an easement from them. If that's the lowest bid, tear it down.
No, that,
And if that's refused, well, then tear down the trees.
Joe Levy, 138 Woodward Cape. Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Instead of spending the money on buying that, that's not black land and you want an easement, why not see what it would cost to do something new, modern on an easement on CID land, and you won't have those issues. You have land there, you have an easement.
no, there's no easement there.
It's not, I don't think there's a, I think it's utility.
There's a utility easement?
Yes, I believe it's utility.
No easement for.
It is utility.
So I have three out there. 577, we've got line number 202. Yeah, I would suggest maybe you guys should just try to do what 3C and 3 just donated.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that's,
He wants,
That's not gonna happen.
that's unfortunate.
Already had that conversation.
well, he's not gonna donate it.
There's no free rides.
No way. So,
There was a time I would have.
yeah, but anyway. So I guess we look into an agreement where we put it up for.
And again, I think the key aspect is that someone talk to Mr. Sanchez and just give his thoughts and feelings, ask you what he thinks, whether it affects his marketability of the property, if it's still there on a lease, easement issue. And if he's willing, and his plans, I don't know, it's like 3 or 4 years out, whether that's an opening for some period of time. I think it's just a nice discussion with them.
Well, what I would guess right now is, he's been coming to these meetings and been asking us to give him some relief on his ERCs. And we basically told him no. I don't think we're ingratiated to him to have him give us some kind of concessions about anything.
Well, again, that might be a conversation he brings up and says, oh, yeah, we're going to consider it. Yes.
I think
So that's, I think,
The conversation, sure.
I think that conversation with JC has to go a couple of different directions. One, JC is giving relief of his ERCs is deeper than that, right? Because it affects every other big commodity we have in the community. So although you want to maybe move something else to JC, you have to be very careful because we put these settings, some type of standard with the rest of the business.
That we're gonna start talking about utilities.
or what it could be a credit against the fees that you have to.
Credit.
I mean, but you know, sign $1 value, cash out. But there's just some costs.
Right. Credit, I like the credit. I like that. The ERC.
Yeah, so
JC has to realize that I'm getting tied on money to do on the ERC.
but I think again, I don't volunteer policies, but I think that someone talked to Mr. Sanchez, talk and talk.
I'll do that.
You want to table this for now or what? Oh, I'm sorry.
Our trees or walls. Well, there's oak trees there, there's maybe sensitive. I think ficus are probably very resilient, but I looked at it myself. They're not so.
I got a feeling that you're going to be taking this off. The roots are either around it or under it. They're not going to go through it. So I would think they would be able to lift those out. But now one other thing that they're not putting into these quotes here is they're going to walk away with a big old hole. They're not talking about all any fill back in, putting any sod in or anything else. They're talking about driving in there, taking those slabs of concrete out and going home. That's too kind of the crap out there. We got the bolts we push the hole up. But yeah, this quote here is there's no adjustment. There's all they're quoting us It's pulling the concrete out of the holes. That's all this bill is. It is.
Well, this one is so dirt. Yeah, it's built dirt and dirt pattern. Existing vertical.
Sam?
Sam Bashir, 231 Case Drive. The question I have is, do we even have the right to go on to the property to tear this out in the first place when we don't own the property? Number two, we don't have a use agreement with the property owners to be able to do it, so you are going to mute point. You can't just walk on somebody's property, tear down the wall when you don't own it, when you don't own the property.
Frank?
Frank, did you set it back for the stone house? I would ask you to consider the possibility rather than leasing of buying one or for the poor. My thought is one side is better than both sides. Of buying that section property, because you're not bothered leasing it, sure it's a 30% that. But I realize everybody. So I don't know what it would be, but I just want to suggest it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have to agree with that. In my opinion, you better buy it. It's the nature of the approach.
I don't have a survey.
It's pretty expensive. Is it off by feet?
Yes.
Well, first of all, it's a utility easement, which doesn't allow for anything to be built above the ground like that. So even if it was 100% inside of that utility easement, it still wouldn't be appropriate. Here again, I can't say what I think I guess.
You can, again, and I don't have the survey with me, I do not know if we're gonna do. I say, I just forget that, I like the idea of tabling it to see if there can be a conversation. I think we had discussions in the past that property to we would need a license agreement for some of the, of course. But I think Mr. Stanton indicated in the past that it was gone. That's what else the sentiment is today. And I don't know the history of it. It was built by the local when they owned everything. And then it's got.
And I know for me, I want to market property. I want to get rid of it. And I just assume from the board standpoint that we get this taken care of, because I don't know what the next property owner is going to want to do. So if we could get it tied down one way or the other, all good.
And again, we might be helpful, I think, next time is to include the copy of the survey needs.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea.
I have only glanced at it on 2 occasions. There's one side of the line longer. If you were willing and desirous of us doing the demolition for your purposes, is the length of the wall being removed about the same?
It's pretty close. There's actually the utility easement on JC's property is a portion of it's almost twice as big as the easement on the other side, because they had more water lines and stuff going through on that side over there. But there again, it's sort of a moot point because it's a utility easement.
So you're saying the county's going to require a new road if he goes to build anything?
No, I'm not saying that he's doing that because I don't know that.
Yeah. So the easement, the county say, pull it out.
I don't know. I guess I don't know what they say.
Well, whatever makes it more difficult.
I'm just saying, with this point next month, does it make sense to proceed with a willing property owner who will be removed from the, I guess it's the west side of this?
I guess we gotta find a better way to do it. Utility easement requires the county requires it to take it out.
Tracy's
That's it.
all three.
Yeah, part of it. In fact, that's I might not quite do.
That would be good.
Well, you know what, I'll have Annalise, or maybe, what about Kevin here, it suggests that she talk to Jack, all the time, and get a little clarification about if the CID ends up, acquiring that in however they do it, that, the county's not gonna come back and say, well, that's a utility easement, therefore you need to remove it. And make sure that's okay.
I would make a motion that table it for right now to next meeting. And that Kevin will plans to talk to the two owners of the properties involved.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
No.
3 affirmative votes.
Update on the union billing. We're getting ready to do the next bill cycle. Union billing has not yet designated who their new ACH vendor will be. They had promised that information this month. In the absence of that, I have 2 ongoing discussions. One with Collier County, the other with Fifth Third Bank. The one with Fifth Third is with an ACH vendor called WorldPay. To subject our own ACH vendor, the issue there is they're evaluating whether their integration of the ACH transactions will be consistent with the media billing software, or if there are modifications to the software, and those are issues of my knowledge. There are 3 separate discussions that are ongoing with media billing and their existing department. The second one being through Fifth Third Bank and WorldPay, and the last one is the Collier County. They have a brand new ACH vendor who just started last month, which is iCloud, presumably some Apple.
Well, we're part of the county, I can't speak to that.
We're not part of the county, but I am acquainted with the county's utilities and spoke most recently yesterday with his billing operations director, who is Joe Malone. So I'm just telling you, we're not waiting only on meeting billings new vendor or some reconsideration. We've got 3 different presentations going at the same time.
When is our next bill supposed to go out?
Maybe early next month.
Early November.
Yes, sir.
So we're not gonna have this in place by then.
I don't believe so, but if that changes, I would send you all an email. In anticipation of that, I did ask him to get from them some estimates on the call center side. We were running through a lot of issues about customer service with the old system, especially over the course of the weekends or things like that. So we received a response, meaning the average rate for the first billing cycle waited minute to I think 11 seconds or something for a warm body to pick the phone up the other side. I can tell you my mic can speak an hour on the lights on occasion. So, we were pretty pleased with that. We are monitoring not only metrics, but any questions, related to individual. So we had 2, so both of them I think are resolved at this point. One being that the resident case right we talked about, here. That gentleman was not only honorable, understanding, but I think he was completely satisfied with the response that he received. We had a second one that was reported and resolved. I believe one of the phases that Stella Morrison had a question about whether or not some of the original source data should not have been included in wastewater. Apparently, these are irrigation meters only. And I was not on the most recent call, but if they are entitled to a credit for the process administratively, because if in fact there are irrigation meters, they don't have a sewage component component to them, then I have the ability to issue credits against those accounts if they were inappropriately charged. I think it includes 4 different reasons. That sort of is all, I think.
While we're at this, before I forget, when I was working with the people over at the marina, doing a walkabout there, one of their board members and I got into a discussion, and he, as a board member over there, was discussing the possibility of putting meters on all the slips that have water to them, which I think they all do, but I'm not certain of that. But he brought that up to me, and I have been thinking about that myself because they're a condo association, and at some point here, we're going to probably change how we bill utility bills to where the cost of the utility actually gets paid for by that bill rather than the ad valorem taxes. And we talked about possibly putting a small maintenance fee on the bills. And the way it is now, the condominiums, which are slip owners, only have a very limited amount of meters. So I was very keen to that idea that we start metering all the slips. We should put meters on all of them, like you suggested, for 2 reasons. That way, when we switch over to this other billing site process, everyone will be paying a maintenance fee rather than just a handful in the marina. The other thing is,
Give me a better definition. Like
just like a utility company does, an electrical company, they'll have a base rate.
Okay. Like
Whether
they
you
don't
use
have-
it or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Whether 1 gallon goes to it or not, everybody.
Before you buy a gallon. Okay, so the other thing was then, now we will know how many gallons of water we're putting on each one of those slips. The guys in the liveaboard boats will know how many gallons of water they're being pumped out of their black tanks, because they're hiring that done for the most part. Anything in between that then is going out as gray water. It would be another method of being able to determine who and how much water is being dispersed out of those units. Because the way it is right now, they don't know, because it's just 1 meter.
Would also resolve one other issue. When they built up the marina, we were talking about Mr. Preppin having to buy 30 more ERCs to make up.
Oh, we forgot about that.
Okay, so when you go to the water meters now, that would actually take care of that, because everyone would have an ERC or whatever.
Yeah, we forgot about that. That's one for you, Tony.
I mean, what I'll do in the next board meeting, I'll bring that site plan, or I guess, for Neil can find some of his records, I'll get with Neil so we can check the records. To try to do a little digging in, see if it was ever taken care of.
Promise?
Yes, sir.
It's a
Good
kind of
enough.
Yep.
Is there kind of a master meter there now for that?
Yeah.
One being to look all the dots?
Okay, so what we're talking about will be potentially sub-meter.
No, just like the condo buildings, each one would have their own meter.
Just like every household now has a meter.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. And actually, if I had my druthers, I would try to get them to put some type of a line on each one of the docks and put a pump system into it so that they could reclaim the gray water, but that's for another day.
In that regard, and not to get ahead of myself, but I wanted you to know we last month reached out to Russ Wire to see if he would be willing to undertake the analysis of the utility in ERC. He doesn't have the capacity this fall or winter to undertake that work. And we would have preferred him just for familiarity reasons. We're going to need to find another firm. So I've spoken to Tony, and his plant in Gateway has just completed a rate analysis. And if I wanted to share that with you today, to tell you that I'm going to need to solicit some other proposals, but we're still anticipating that we have somebody under contract to begin work in January to make a recommendation before Easter to incorporate into the budget workshop schedule next year. But Russ has taken the pass. He has a new client He has other work, but he's just not willing to do the work.
Yeah,
We want to do it way before. the
we want to get this, yeah, absolutely, fast track this.
Well, we had originally intended to have a contract with the board to present at your November meeting of anticipation that they would be underway, and Russ is not willing to do that project. Tony, if you can, help accelerate that if we can.
Well, I don't think it's accelerated. There's a firm called Raftellus, and they do rate studies and building analysis for a lot of entities. They've eaten up a lot of others. It's kind of packed. They've gathered up a number past. I'll give Neil the press up in this conference.
If we can bring a proposal back and present it at the November meeting, I just wanted to, so there won't be this.
Right. Okay, let's see if we can get that done.
Roughly takes us down.
Well, I got one other thing. Tony, so do you have to rewrite rules to this? Because it's basically. gonna
We
change.
might, part of us are getting some guidance from for harsh transition. Because if you switch from one system completely to another system, whether it be a transition process, how to do that. And I think if we can hold off until you and I have an initial call, so here's where this system is today, here's where we think about going. Because right now it's a fun, and concerns about the number of issues to address. A number.
I don't think we should ever completely get rid of ERC.
And that also leads over into another.
Well, they're going to analyze that, right?
Well, and how to check off, and again, leads over into another issue with regards to 48 acres.
Yes, there's $2 million. You don't want to.
Again, it's been around for a long time. Transition is going to be short.
We're I think changing our ERC structure somewhat, but we should continue probably to have ERC.
And I think again,
The big thing is changing our utility billing process.
and again, I think that's part of what you consultant said. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Right.
Have you ever seen them transition to a pure user rate fee charge schedule basis?
Right.
And if they say no, if they say yes, we have to what we should have the initial call. Up with your talents. We're trying to do that. Yes.
We're getting along here, so let's see what we can do.
No, understood. I just wanted you to know it is really this part.
Gotcha.
For that project. We're trying to have a proposal to remember. Down to the financials, these will be the ones.
Hang on, before you go to that, let's address this Thomas bill. Right above that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Thomas had this there's a page in here, $4,356 water bill. He paid it, but we charged him, they found a leak. They found a pipe that was cracked, I believe, broke, one or the other. It went through his meter. In the past, we have always, from what I know, generally it went through the meter, but should we be giving him a break on it because it didn't go through the service? In fairness, I think we should give him some relief on.
We have had that. Initially, he told us that no, it was his fault. He has just told us that he subsequently found a crack and actuated. And if so, there is that rule that gives me the authority to take that into consideration. I don't know that it is a limit to that process, but if I need to bring it back to you, share with you what I recommended credit against the wastewater side of that is in
I for one, I would like to see him, just from my standpoint, we've done it for other people. He had a break. We didn't put it through our sewer, so it didn't cost us any. So we're not trying to improve expenses that we pay. I think in fairness to the man, we should give him that break.
I didn't know until I arrived here today had found a leak.
Yeah.
But if he's got a bill that he's willing to share from a plumber that shows the nature of the repair, and I need to bring it back and ultimately get your approval, I will. But the reason said, but partial credit against the wastewater charges. I believe your policy gives me the authority to address that.
How do you folks feel? Can you do that? Yeah. Perfect.
Just reach back out to him.
Yeah, there is not a dollar limit.
I didn't think so.
If a person contests a bill, then it's the application, there's a dollar amount cap.
Okay.
We want to be fair.
Yep, absolutely.
These are the financials as of the end of August, as we are the new fiscal year from the balance sheet. You'll see that as of August 31st, there was a fine of $4.3 million cash. The operating account is $3 million of that. There are two separate utility account and investment account of $623,000 and $693,000 respectively. They were only $53,000 in tables at the end of the month. On the next page, first page of the income statement, some things that are clearly material. $16,193 in interest rates in 1 month, against the original annual forecast of $2,000. So
Say that top number again.
16,193 1 month, but August interest rates.
Close to 17,000 versus 2,000. Now,
Year to date, $51,000. The final forecast is going to be somewhere as $70,000. It all flows through the bottom.
that's a good thing. Are we getting the best that we can do?
You know, our relationship with this bank is so one of the things I had discussed with you earlier is perhaps us evaluating a First Integrity Bank, which currently has Collier County's comprehensive banking service agreement, or some other banks for alternative proposals for you to consider now that we're in a new fiscal.
Just to cut this short.
Collier Bank is your current banker, they're an Orlando-based bank, but they're a regional bank. I just don't know much about it.
Money market is $393,000.
Yes, sir.
And in the checking account, we have $3 million. So the checking account's probably nothing wrong.
Maybe 2.5. Again,
We have 3 million in checking accounts?
that's the cash account.
Why would we have it in a checking
Why
account?
don't we have more money?
We should. It's been there for some time. The agreement runs through the end of this year, and I think that we ought to be shopping around.
You could,
I don't have the history of Valley Bank, and I don't have any other clients.
well, I was gonna say, if we're making 100 and something, and we could be making 3-4 times that. If we invest in, put some more into some type of money market.
Can you do that, Alan? Can we use money markets?
Then it's in a qualified public depository. They have the accounts that meet criteria.
Right.
I'm not sure if the question, well, because we're piggybacking off the picture. For the county.
We're going to hire bunch of our contractors with
Yes.
banking is with Valley.
But, yeah, I mean, it's, well, the issue, yeah. I believe so. I have to double check the statutes, but the statute, the criteria are first is security.
Yeah.
Second is liquidity. Bottom criteria is security. First is security.
Right.
It's called a depository. I believe in money market
Sure.
definition.
As long as the bank has separate collateral that is shown on their federally reviewed balance sheet, it is a Florida qualified public depository. So they have to treat our money as they separately collateralized above and beyond the insurance money.
Okay, so just in my book, we don't have any CDs where we locked up for some time. Money markets aren't that. We have more liquidity with those money market.
it still makes a ton more than we were checking.
Even with that bank, I get the digital money market for checking account.
I can, we should also include maybe some sweep accounts, whatever threshold we think is appropriate of our monthly outlay, and then everything sweep over into the other account.
How come this has never come up before?
Yeah, we went right up. Remember talking.
Well, the rates are high.
And that, and John, Sager was in here too and talking about it.
Well, we're gonna check accounts.
Yeah, but the preference would be for us to tag on to the current annual contract that is led by Collier County. In advance of the I can get what those rates, we can put the sweep account as well as.
Do you need authorization for us to do that, to move it, or you can't?
If you want me to move it, then I think you authorize the transfer.
And that requires signature. They may require.
I'm on the current bank. You, before I see you again, you go ahead and move. Pick a number to the money market. The only big expenses we got coming up right now, really, sewer all the time. But
Listen, but we can get the money for the site. We can do it.
say, well, that month of interest is another 20 grand, all there, it'll be 1 million. He said, what? What do we need?
16
and 1 month down, we put,
16
500 in there. Total or an addition? I say keeping up all the now for our expenses, 2.5 total. It's transfer, operating. If it wasn't a money market, we should be able to pull some of that off. Yeah, I just.
It's gotta be something.
Yeah. Is that a motion? Make it a motion. 2.5 million. And we verify the rate difference.
We also don't tell the guard. Please accept the.
And in addition, I'll find out what Collier County's separate agreement with First Integrity.
All in favor? Just one last question.
Who made the second?
I did.
Russ. Why didn't you bring us this?
I sort of reported every month. If there was a discussion that occurred back in March, decision, I did all. Yeah, because I was the other name, Mr. Steiger.
I think it's come up at various times. Sure.
Okay, let's move.
No,
Move on.
As part of that, did want you to know that I found insurance coverage. We did not have, we have a handout on this. We did not get the dual package. We've been doing this since August. We got it on the 28th of September. So I have found suffice it to say, Florida insurance prices. I've already compared this premium prior year. Your property increased this year $17,000. Total is $42,000 on the property and on the liability side. In terms of a percentage, it's almost 100%. I think some of that is the claim that we file, calling Hurricane. And I will also tell you that as part of our analysis, we determined in pursuing your claim, your EN claim that we filed, all of your well field assets are not on the schedule. And so they have denied that portion line. So we've taken steps to add the well field, the well heads and pumps and motors and perhaps some other issues there. To make sure they're on the schedule.
Well, Kevin and I, working with the grants, we're dealing with that right now because in order to get any FEMA grant, we have to exhaust our insurance. Right, so our insurance has to be.
So we didn't have.
Claim for every full insurance
Sure,
for
lucky, huh?
on $4 million worth of stuff we're looking at. Trying to get FEMA monies for our total insurance is about $35,000.
And then just the final element of that, also determined that your current auditing agreement expires at the end of September. So I have already run a request for proposals for auditing firms. I believe the deadline is next week. The process for that is very similar to how you evaluated engineering firms. So you will have to sit as a board and evaluate the proposals that we received. I can tell you there's two firms on the East Coast that specialize in special district audits. There's a local firm here in Naples that does. Their fees are much, much higher. And so I will also probably have some proposals for auditing services for next year's audit that we'll be working on in the spring, and that will be on the agenda in November as well.
Yeah, the board sits as the auditor selection. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
As well as sitting as the board of supervisors.
Just a little sort of aside.
Yeah, just for a question on deposits, we've got to check over that. I'm not, I don't know, but we can confirm that the money markets qualify as, as a statute, we're authorized to invest in the policy. So it's a default policy under the statute. If they can invest in interest-bearing time deposits or savings accounts in QPDs. So it sounds like that was interest-bearing time or savings accounts in QPD.
Oh, that's all that I have today. I'll need you to, with both the addition of the insurance matters and our proposals, we could get a motion to say to accept the financial report.
I make a motion that we accept the financial report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
That concludes me for today. We already discussed the update on the wastewater treatment plant permit removal. That takes us down to the
Sunset K easement use agreement, we've already discussed that. Stella Mars ownership maintenance, Richard DeVos' office, he's the attorney for Stella Mars, and I've been playing telephone tag or email tag. I'm trying to set up a conference next Thursday at 5 for he and I to discuss. On the issue with regards to public records from Junior District Management in Calatig on Tuesday, sent their final demand letter, drafted the lawsuit to Mr. Morgan, and gave them until October 25th at 5 p.m. to deliver the records. And I have a copy of my demand as well as the draft lawsuit for the board members.
What about the other one? Prepping.
We're working on there's discovery issues, and they want to take the deposition of the corporate representative and working on who that person.
Is there statute of limitations on that thing? That there was.
What?
You don't want to talk about it.
Thank you.
Report.
Thank you.
Understood.
Appreciate it. I was trying to be polite when I say no, but thank you for connecting. And that's all I have.
Okay. Engineers report.
Oh, wait a minute. For Tony.
Go ahead.
In the.
Can you come up
with Mr. DeVos? Oh, sorry. With this table here, 231K representing Delaware. In the discussion with Mr. DeVos, the whole crux of the matter is that we found out that we don't know the development. It's still in the old development. We were told by two members of the CID back in the early 2000s that the road was actually turned over
to the CID and was accepted by the CID. And that's where our question is the road already belong to the CID and we just never done at the county to change the name to that? If not, then we would also like to request, like Delaware North did when they turned over their road from a private developer to the CID. The CID accepted, I believe, Dan, you were involved in that. So that's what we want to get the road turned over to the CID. We don't want it. We think maybe it was already turned over. That's what we're trying to find out. So that's where this.
And I guess from the standpoint of trying to do the historical research, find out what transpired.
Exactly.
Does the board want to include the expense or have Stella Mouse for that expense or jointly?
The thing of it is, in the long cut to the chase here, we're gonna end up taking them. We need to go through all these processes. I mean, go ahead, Frank, you got something?
Yeah, Frank, we hit that president goes to Stellamera, locally called Stellamera Store. That was a great agreement. They did an amazing job on it. I want to be clear. The CID did not take the road. They took an agreement to maintain the asphalt. Storm sewer, the other stuff, they never took it. The pond connection, never took that. They just didn't do it. Right? So I would say if you consider that, then don't forget that we're not in it. We come in along with anyone else you might.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
It's another issue is who owns the road, defeats the title. I guess that's part of it. So I'll focus on that part because the agreement's in place as to the storage facility. So it's just
my suggestion is that if there's a way to cut out a lot of this going back in history and all that sort of stuff, because we know where this is going to go. We're eventually going to take over that road because we've taken over everybody else. So why belabor it, you know?
The key issue is if it's in the name of the original developer, that's one of the questions as far as fees. Then it becomes if he's still in existence or involved. If it's in existence, he's not going to door his court. If it's been dissolved, you go to an officer, director, anybody at the time of dissolution. You sign this quick. They refuse to do it. I ran into this. One of my other districts, there's a court process that you can go through. You get a trustee appointed here, entity. So that's, I'll talk about all that one.
So, just want to quickly add, actually, again, on the truck guide, we got a quick one, we own that road. And then CID sat, we should make it like that. So we own it.
If Richard has a transcript put on it, sure that you want to ask him that.
My position on this would be this: one board member is I would like to see it to where it is ready for us to take over. In other words, we don't go back and look for the old at our expense. We don't go back and look for the old loans, blah, blah, blah. Bring it to us. It's ready for you guys to take over.
The only issue is warranty deed. If you get a quick claim deed, a quick claim deed says, I give you whatever I have. If I have no interest in the land, you don't get anything.
Okay.
So I'm concerned with Mr. getting a quick claim deed. And that's why we need to have a conversation. I want to make sure that the district has good title to whatever.
Right. Right.
If you have to go back, I would simply say, at the request of the previous board, I brought in documents showing that the CID accepted the thing. I brought in the map, I turned them over to the engineer, former president. They are now missing.
You know, I'm not worried about all this. I understand it. My focus is just on title conveyance.
Right.
Yeah, I think that one question we can come up with all this as we do these rules, because it certainly came up in meeting ours. Who's going to take the storm sewer? All right, we take it for some of the houses, we take it for different areas here, don't redo it 60 weeks. We take it for different ones.
Can we say to Stellamar South, Stellamar North, no, we'll take everything but the storm sewer, and you're gonna have to do the storm sewer.
That's a board decision.
So that is something that it is bigger than this. Right, so that was part of it. They brought that to them back when we had our road turned over, that the houses had storm water sewer included. And they said, well,
Come back.
absolutely not, take the storm
Yeah.
sewer at that
Can you
time.
come back up for a minute?
But if we're gonna do that, I think we have to look at that problem, because it's gonna be right back in our face as soon as we touch that.
I know you guys have been working, I believe you've been working with the county and whatnot on that, the storm sewer there, the pipes and whatever else is going on there. Can you tell me what's going on? Where are you at on that deal?
We hired an engineer who has already discussed with Jack what needs to be done, and the documents are all being drawn up.
Okay, so it's not,
Yes, Jack McKenna.
so that's all gonna be,
That'll be all taken care of.
perfect. That's what we wanted to hear. Yeah, that's good enough. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
Any other supervisor requests? I have a couple things real quick. We've been in the field for the last few days here, last 2 weeks. Actually, we spent a couple days testing our water pipes. Water pipe leaks. We're working on a grant request to help us with that. It'll be a very expensive item to replace, but we're working with that. FEMA was out for 2 days doing inspections to okay everything we did after the hurricane, so our new generator. So there are new generators, some culverts, some gravel, some street signs, the different things that we did. They seemed pretty happy with everything that we've done so far. And they said that'll be the first money we have coming back under the FEMA hurricane issue. So we're looking at 38,000 coming back. Roughly. Okay, somewhere right there. The rest of the FEMA requests, and we okay, this lost track by the way. The FEMA mitigation. The mitigation to go ahead and mitigate some of the other things we have. We have a lot of money that we're looking at there to be able to mitigate the road culverts and things, to tie it up with the park department and things on some of that. That hopefully will clear as we move forward. With that, the data route, we looked at a bunch of that also. County Marina Boat Park was one of the other things. I did speak to some people at the marina. They said the county I was told the county is in the works to rezone those. They're going to rezone them so they can keep them boat park. The grass along Newport.
Why don't they rezone the whole, why don't they rezone all of the land in here then? So that we can all park boats. I know.
Okay, so as a board, I don't know if that's something that we want to look more into, if that's their avenue right now, to just rezone it, keep the boats parked all around there. That's something that we gotta look at, maybe we want that or not.
They have agreed to be that it is a problem. I did not know they were contemplating zoning fix.
That's what I was told. I didn't see paperwork or anything. I have to tell you that that's what I was told.
My other understanding is that there was never a site improvement plan that was developed for the chain link fence that now encloses the southern portion parking lot.
Right.
And so maybe when we get there tonight or something, 2 weeks, we could add that to our list of things to get clarification.
Well, my question is, if they've been in violation for this long, we know they've been in violation, why hasn't it been corrected? Why isn't it being corrected until they get their permitting in place? Everybody else, they don't come along and say, oh, move your RV out of your driveway or move your boat out of your driveway when it works out for you.
I can tell you what their excuse is. Their excuse is that there's some sort of very simple rental agreement that is entered into with people who may have, and I'm understanding they're all residents who are keeping their boats there now. There's a rental agreement that they're paying able to keep their boat trailer.
I heard that same thing. And my question
is a legal opinion or something that indicates that there is tacit commission approval that is attached to their agreement that allows apparently they're concerned enough about it now that they're processing some type of zoning petition to rezone a portion of that. They have re-gravelled the other lots further over, they re-gravelled it so they could take the qualification, they would park stuff over there also. I don't know how they're, Steve was talking to me about this before, so the information that I have. There is a concern, there is no site improvement plan, work that works, the improvements that and then they were in the process of changing their concession.
Yeah, it just boggles me that they have, it's a double standard. You know, they make everybody else in the county. Yeah, I know.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. When they brought up this issue about people renting these lots, so therefore, and my question was, when's the last time you rented out one of those lots? Oh, almost every month. You got a renewal. I go, why are you renewing them then? So that whole business about they've got leases on them that they can't break, that's just another bunch of status.
But I don't have the history. How long ago has it been acquired? The boat ramp and the ship store with that commercial area.
Sam, do you know?
Yes, around 10.
Okay.
2010 or 10 years? Okay.
Okay. I don't have any history of all, but we'll let that progress discuss with the chairman.
Okay. Perfect.
Anything further?
I've got one thing. In the previous meeting, it was brought up that there's some overgrowth on the sidewalk at 170 Sunset K. I talked to the owner, he's taking care of it, cut it back. So.
Oh, there's one of the sidewalks now on Cape Drive. We want the sidewalk there. Is that something we're
about CID?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that reminds me too, there's a bunch of street lights that got trees that are completely covering that. I wonder if we could give a call to the electrical company and ask them if they would trim that back. If they don't do it, we should do it. The other thing is, where are we at on cleaning the sidewalk?
Cleaning the sidewalks, Kevin, it's like late November, early December. Can hear you. Where's your lunch?
Yes, yeah, it was late November, early December. He was gonna try to see mine.
Okay.
I'm willing to wait for Saturday. You're willing to have it there on the Saturdays. Cool. The pressure water.
I think us retired people don't care what they live because anymore.
These guys are always looking, because a lot of these gated and they won't let them work after 7 o'clock and they won't let them in there on Saturday. And if we're trying to push this vendor to get them kind of, for Thanksgiving or something, if we can entice them by letting them work. Did we sign a contract? We have a proposed whole.
Thank you. I apologize.
Appreciate it. We done with that? One thing I would like to do is I'd like to thank Kevin for his efforts on working with us with Dan Truckee here on this grant stuff. I think he was here 4 to 5 days this week. He's going above and beyond for us on this work, and I would like to thank you publicly for that. The other thing is Joyce has been working with Frank and Dave Keyser here about getting this system set up in here. And I'd like to thank Joyce publicly for all the effort that you helped and how you helped this community. Appreciate it.
Unless you tell me otherwise, assuming that we're going to solicit some sort of proposal for this going forward.
What do you guys suggest on that?
Oh, we'll be in touch with everything.
Okay.
He agreed to come here today, and now that he sees the logistics of what's required, we'll.
Is there anything else that you want to tell us about this? I think, was there something about how you'd be able to word search and how you can go into your file, or, and what are some of the other features besides what we're just looking at here?
So good proposal. I'm just not sure if we will or not, but I will tell you that there are a couple of things. Number one, yes, you have the ability to put in Kevin. word search or what Kevin just said of the board. That could be a board thing. There are, however, there's like we can verify minutes. Consider offering your work. You can take the minutes that you have. So, if someone said, Jack and Jill went up to really get some tomatoes, it was actually pail of water, we put a mark on it. That's correct. Correct word, so we can certify or verify key points in minutes. Motions, significant numbers, or significant acts. If the board told Rob, we want you to go and give us a report on this, that would be noted. It would be clear as to what they're all about. It's a nice feature. We were discovering there are some significant logistical problems, and we'll be back here. What we will do is we will share with you. You do not submit a report. I assure you that we will share with you everything we have. And we will try to assist you in any way we can. But give us a sure.
It doesn't do that, it doesn't do the notes.
No, it's
Just, so they wouldn't have to record.
give you.
Okay.
Give you.
Your next meeting, is November the 17th, and looking forward, your December meeting would actually, occur on the 15th. Yeah, the 15th, so you mark your calendars for 17th of November and 15th.
Dave, Gabby?
Yeah, I just wanted to, sorry, we lost. Yeah, meeting. Bring it back in. Lost, had a little bit of. So, we're working on it.
Cool.
So are you saying then that the people at home weren't able to follow?
No, they were.
Okay.
Yeah, we have actually, you could hear up.
You know.
Yes, I know. Again, I didn't want to get through all
These
this.
guys are just smart.
We will share what we learn. Hopefully, you too.
Okay, thank you.
Hope you do adjourn. You can all hear.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Sorry it took so long today, but the mosquito thing kind of drug it out a little bit.
Yeah.